Yes, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman, Alfred.
I'm Batman.
I am Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman.
Greetings, Bat Family. Welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by real fans for real movies. Please visit our website, holybatcast.com. It is where you find everything you need for the show, but you can also find us on all the websites where you already spend your time, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast. You'll find us. There we are. We are also on Patreon. So if you love the show and you want to show your support for the show and to keep it rolling, you can do that through Patreon. If you choose not to do that, it's fine. We still love you, but those of you who do it, we know you don't have to, and it really does mean the world to us. It just makes the show that much easier to do, and the show remains ad-free, which is nice, because what if in the middle of our conversation, you'd have to hear me pretend to love Blue Apron? Like, now you don't have to do that right now. But if they call me Blue Apron, call me, and I'll pretend to love your ass all day long. I am not afraid to sell out. But in the meantime...
Casper mattresses are pretty good too, from what I hear.
Oh yeah, Squarespace. Have you heard about Squarespace? Oh my god! And Blue Chew for those of us who aren't in our 20s anymore.
No, I actually haven't heard of that.
Oh, that's the latest one I've heard on some of the nerdy podcasts. Blue Chew. It's like Viagra, but you chew it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was listening to some random podcast and they pitched Blue Chew. I was like, huh? Well, I'll be damned. Good for them. Anyway. Blue Chew's giving me no money, so do not buy it until they give me money. That's the rule. Okay, guys?
I'll shut up so you can introduce me.
Yeah, who the hell are you? Who is this voice? And who asked you to talk? Anyway, what was my point? My point was I'm on Patreon, so I don't have to bother you about buying other stuff. But anyway, do it, don't do it. I love you regardless. You know why? Because the world needs more love. Patreon.com/Holy BatCast. We're part of the Real Fans Podcast Network. If you want to hear other shows, you can do that at rf4rm.com. So I will really quickly plug again my new show, Why Not Futurama? With me and Scott, we're looking at every episode of Futurama, and we're having a blast. So join us. That's super fun if you love Futurama. If you don't love Futurama, you should. I think you'll like it. I'm Andy. Hi. You can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. It's just my name, Andy DiGenova. And on this episode, we're going to be doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, which are some of my favorite episodes. We're going to talk about the new trailers for Wonder Woman Bloodlines and Titans Season 2. Then we're going to review the first couple episodes of Pennyworth. Because you know what? We live in a world where Alfred Pennyworth has his own action-adventure TV series. The geeks have inherited the earth. And then, as always, we'll wrap up with your emails in the Wayne Manor mailbox. Joining me, you already heard his voice because he just can't help himself. He is the Dave Boy. Is that the name of the guy on Pennyworth? Dave Boy?
Yes.
Yeah, that's you. You're Dave Boy
good.
to my
I'm
Alfie.
the drunken Scotsman. Okay.
It's very close to a drunken Australian.
Yeah. Which is funny because, like I've said before, I don't drink, which is very un-Australian of me, but I'll take it because Dave Boy's funny as hell.
Well, it's Brendan Lowe. Welcome, Brendan.
How you going?
Great. And so if I get to be Alfie, you get to be Dave Boy. That makes Jamie Drooly the grouchy old dad who sits on the chair criticizing.
I thought you were going to say Bazza, but that's true. He can be the dad.
He's not even here today, so he can't even defend himself.
No, he can't, and he won't know who the dad is because he refuses to watch it.
That's true. I
tried
to think of like a dead character because I wanted to go. And Jamie is this person because they're not here. But
the guy at the poker table in episode 3.
Hey, we've not even gotten there yet.
I know, but that's fine.
It's kind of spoilery. What if people are gonna be like, what happens?
Well, they'll need to watch it and find out.
I guess so. Anyway, no, Jamie sitting this one out because he literally said, what were the words? It was, do Pennyworth so I can have the week off.
Butler, and it was like, I don't want to watch Butler the series.
Right. So he is skipping Pennyworth, but Brendan's been on my ass to review Pennyworth, so it's just me and you. We're trading off.
I'm happy with that, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you do a week with me, then Jamie does a week with me. Back and forth.
I think the listeners were probably happy to have a week without me after a fortnight ago, just quietly.
Why?
Oh, the Batman Beyond stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you didn't make a lot of friends on that episode, Brendan.
Yeah.
Which is weird. Usually people quite like you, but...
Yeah. I have to be honest, listening back, I do have to apologise too, because it was quite late at night here, and about halfway through the episode, I just felt, you know how sometimes you just feel your body shut down, and you're like, oh, I'm tired, and it just hits you?
Mm-hmm.
It hit me about halfway through, and I think my enthusiasm dropped about 50%, and we were already talking about a subject that I don't love anyway, and I was trying for it not to come through, but I think I failed.
Oh, it came through.
Yeah, I know that now.
There was no argument about it. It's okay. You know what? Like, I'll go back to the old standby. That's why they have menus at restaurants.
And look, not everyone's going to agree with me or what I have to say with this show coming up, but we'll get there.
We'll see how that goes. Last week, me and Jamie, you sat it out because you are behind on Swamp Thing, you naughty boy.
I still haven't seen the last 2 episodes. They've been sitting there. The thing that really stopped me from watching it was I got caught up in The Boys.
I haven't watched it yet, but Jamie keeps trying to get me to do it on this show, and I'm like, no, like that's not DC. Even if it's sort of like a takeoff of DC, no, I'm not doing it.
I mean,
sorry.
we could maybe try and get the 3 of us together for a nightlight to cover it.
See, like that I'd be okay with, but like...
I was going to say real fans, but talking about dead things.
Nah, yeah. Jamie's over there at the Real Fans for Real Movies podcast. Dead. No, last week we watched Swamp Thing. Jamie and I reviewed season 1. Get on it, Brendan, you lazy little koala.
I will. Jess is actually about to go away on a tour for a couple of weeks as of this coming Wednesday, and it's one that I have to watch when she's not around anyway because of horror.
Right.
So I will hopefully be caught up by the end of this week. I'll have a few nights to be able to watch it.
All right. So I got to address something really quick on that episode. I feel like I need to add a new corrections section of the show. Because I'll say something. I don't know everything. I know this. I'm very upfront about it. But every week, I will get emails correcting me on things that I did not get right. And this week, there were a few. But the major one is Jamie and I had a conversation about Will Patton and Jennifer Beals' character having a black child. And we were like, we didn't quite understand that. And it turns out Jennifer Beals is half black. And I honestly had no clue. And so if for any reason that conversation came off offensively, it was certainly not meant to. It was more an observation than anything. But now I've learned something. I did not know she was half black. So the more you know.
There you go. I had no idea either.
So again, if that conversation rubbed anyone the wrong way, that was certainly not the intent, and I do apologize for that. Moving forward, though, we got some new stuff to check out, and we finally did get our first look at the Titans Season 2 teaser, trailer-ish. It's, it's not even
only
a minute.
3-4 weeks late?
Yeah, it finally came out, and I feel like it was not even officially released at first. I feel like it leaked, and then they released it. Because the videos that I saw for a good couple hours, none of them were from Warner Brothers or DC. They were from these other sites and other people. And then a few hours later, the Titans Twitter account released it for real. So I don't know where it came from, but it came out, and then we did get the official version, and it's out there now. But anyway, so we got our first glimpse. We really wanted it for that Comic-Con episode, but that didn't happen. But we have it now. Good things come to those who wait. And so we have our first glimpse of Titan Season 2 officially. And Brendan, how do you feel?
I liked it. I'm really looking forward to watching it. The characters look fantastic. It looks a lot more superhero-y.
Yeah.
A lot less sort of... again, this is from a minute-long teaser, but it looks like a full-blown Teen Titan show as opposed to sort of the dark and gritty, almost not even an action, but drama that we had last year. Mm-hmm. Which, don't get me wrong, we all really liked. But this looks maybe even a little bit lighter. It looks a little bit more fun, and yeah, it looks like the team is a team. It's just going to be interesting to see how soon it takes them to get there, because that's not where season 1 ended. Although it's not how it ended, how we saw it. It's, it may be how the season officially ended from that episode they cut from it. But I'm all in. It looks great, and it's really exciting that we have to wait less than a month.
Yeah, September 6th.
Yeah.
So no, I agree with you. I think that it might be a little misleading because all of that Teen Titans superhero action thing all seems to come from the same episode, and it looks like there will probably be one major flashback episode with the old team. Because the team that we're seeing in costume and out there fighting, it's the old team. It's Robin, Aqualad, Wonder Girl, Hawk and Dove. And Aqualad and Wonder Girl look amazing, and I love it. But because Dick Grayson is still Robin, and because Wonder Girl's in costume, and Aqualad is there, and we haven't even met him yet, my guess is that's all flashback. So we're not seeing the current team all together in costume fighting together yet. So I think that's maybe a little sleight of hand. I hope that we see the current team all together in costume, but I love seeing more superheroes. I love how they all look. We do see Superboy, we see Crypto, but yeah, I love that they're leaning even more heavily into the superhero realm. I think they did in the first season enough. But it never quite fully got there with everyone together and them really coming together as the Titans. And I think this is just showing more steps in that direction, which I'm really excited for. I certainly heard some fans who were like, oh, no Nightwing yet? Remember, when we first got the Titan Season 1 trailer, that was all footage from episodes 1 and 2.
Yeah, actually, it was.
And I think that's exactly what we're seeing here, is we're seeing footage from episodes 1 and 2, because production hasn't wrapped. The production goes on concurrently with the season airing. That's what they did for Season 1 of Titans. That's what they did for Doom Patrol. That's what they're doing for Titan Season 2. So they only have footage from the first couple episodes to use, and I wouldn't expect them to give away Nightwing in this first look. So
no.
I think that we're only getting the beginning of the season. We get Bruce Wayne.
We do. Looks odd, but yeah. It just looks a little bit strange.
I mean, he's older than I would like.
Yeah.
But I was ready for that based on the casting. And I think he looks good, though. I still buy him as an older Bruce Wayne. Wayne Manor looks good, and I like the somewhat strained relationship between Bruce and Dick that we're seeing there. I mean, I'm kind of excited to see more of that.
Yeah. Oh, look, I'm excited to see all of it.
Yeah, and we have Jason Todd being a little ass
Dick.
as he is.
Yeah.
That clip, I saw a lot of people having fun with that clip, being like, "Oh man, he needs to meet a crowbar."
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen a few memes.
But yeah, so you get that. It's very quick cut,
Oh yeah.
There's a lot in there, but it's super quick. There's a split-second shot of Jericho, a split-second shot of Ravager. You see some sort of crazy action thing going on in the street with Corey and with Donna. I don't know what that's all about, but I'm interested. But yeah, it's less than a minute, and there's just a lot of quick cuts of just a lot of stuff. I like that Raven looks even more like Raven from the comics in the season.
Yeah, she really does, yeah.
She's got the hair and the jewel on her forehead, so that's awesome. I'm into that. And then you get that final reveal of Deathstroke.
Yeah. What do you think of the Deathstroke look with the sort of the glowing eye?
So when we got that picture of it, what I said was I really like the look of it, but the glowing eye is a little too Deadshot. And the mask looks all black, which really makes him look like Deadshot. And in the past couple days, there's been a better shot of the mask, and it is the orange and black. And when you see the mask in more light, when you can see the orange in it, then the red glowing eye doesn't bother me, because then he still looks like Deathstroke.
Okay.
it's the black and orange that to me makes him look like Deathstroke. The glowing eye to me is beside the point. But when it looked all black with the glowing eye, then I went, oh, okay, it's a little too Deadshot. But once I saw the better photo of it, I went, oh, okay, cool. No, he still looks like Deathstroke. And I think from the neck down, he looks great. Mm-hmm. From the neck down, the suit looks great. It's perfect. It looks better than the Arrow suit, which I still liked. And
yeah,
I don't know.
It's good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. Bring on September 6th.
Yeah. So, no, it's great. And for me, I am even more excited for it because for me, like the more superhero you put in there, the happier I am. That's what I love.
Yeah. Although we'll have to watch. Actually, no, even with the time difference, yeah, it'll be September 7 for us.
Yeah, that's true. Watching TV shows, living a day ahead is real weird.
Yep, welcome to my world.
But, I don't even know what the hell time it is. I have no idea. So anyway, that looks great. I'm really excited about it. Can't wait to see the premiere in less than a month. And then we got another trailer because Batman Hush has come out. It came out digitally, and I think it came out on disc this week, which means
in the States it has. Yeah, it still hasn't come out physically over here yet.
And so for those of you listening, yes, of course, we're going to review that film, hopefully next week. But whenever you get the new movie, you get the trailer for the next movie, and the next one is Wonder Woman Bloodlines. And so we got a trailer for that, Brendan.
We did. Obviously, this was announced at Comic-Con last year, which made sense that this was going to be the one towards the end of the year because Wonder Woman 1984 was meant to be coming out, and then it got pushed, but we're still getting Bloodlines. So, yeah, which I'm sure is probably frustrating a little bit to the animation department, given that it was meant to tie in. The trailer's good. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm really happy we're getting another Wonder Woman movie because I loved the one from 2009 quite a lot. The one thing that I wasn't expecting them to do is the Steve Trevor origin again.
Yeah.
I know it's not in the same continuity as the one from 2009, and from what I've heard and read, this is a prequel to Justice League War in the DC continuity, like the animated movies. So it's not a criticism. I'm just kind of surprised that they're doing that. I mean, yes, that hasn't happened in that continuity. Well, not that we haven't seen it happen in that continuity yet. Obviously, it did happen. But just from a storytelling point of view, I'm kind of like thinking, well, most of the world saw the movie in 2017. We kind of know the story. Like the time you're using to tell that part of the story, you could have maybe done something else. But look, it's just a trailer, but it's just a story beat that I'm surprised that we're seeing again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned that before I watched it, and I agree with you. I wasn't expecting that either. I didn't realize this was a prequel to the in-continuity animated movies until I watched the trailer, and I went, oh, okay, so that's why they're essentially telling that part of the story again. And I do get it. It's been 10 years since the first animated film, so it's been long enough. But you're right. Because of how big a hit the live action film was, I don't feel it was necessary to retread that ground. At this point, we know how that goes. If you want to do it quickly in a montage at the beginning or something, great. But to me, I don't think it was the best decision to retread the origin for the third time. But aside from that, what I do love about it is I love that Rosario Dawson is Wonder Woman because she's been great in all the other movies. I think the animation looks really awesome. And it is interesting that they went the prequel route, that it is in continuity. And I didn't really figure that out until I saw the Wonder Woman costume she was wearing, which is more in line with the in-continuity animated films. But what I really like is that this feels more like a kitchen sink approach when it comes to Wonder Woman's world. Mm-hmm. So you've got the Mascara, you've got Wonder Woman, you've got Steve Trevor, and then you have a whole slew of Wonder Woman villains, as opposed to, in the last one, it was her versus Ares, which was great, and I loved that one. We reviewed it when the live-action movie came out. That one's great. But I do love that in order to set this one apart, it's Wonder Woman versus a bunch of bad guys,
Everyone.
which is super cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm into that. I like the Giganta's in here, which is awesome. Dr. Poison is in here. I don't know who that crazy metallic robot vulture is, but she's cool. Should I know who that is?
It didn't ring a bell to me either. This will be something we'll get emails about. It looks like Cheetah's in there as well.
So Cheetah's in there. I'm not crazy about the way Cheetah looks.
Kind of looks like one of the hyenas from The Lion King.
It's just a little too animal. Like, I think that there's a right balance between animal and human for Cheetah, and I feel like this one's going too far on the animal side. Like, her whole face is just a tiger's face.
Yeah.
Or a cheetah's face. Like, she doesn't look...
Having Whoopi Goldberg voice it too, it's probably... I'm kidding.
I respect that creative decision. And I think if anyone's going to save this movie, it's Whoopi. She's not actually doing it, but I wouldn't be mad at it because that's ridiculous. But yeah, so no, I love that it's all of this stuff. It just feels like it's doing more with Wonder Woman's world. And like you said, it is great that we're finally getting another Wonder Woman animated movie because I think it's well overdue. And if it took the live action movie to do what it did for them to do this, so be it. But I'm still excited for it regardless. But like you said, when I saw the beats from the origin, I was like, oh really? Like, especially because they even felt like beats lifted directly from the movie.
Yeah, it's very close. I don't know, just with the hit that Wonder Woman was in 2017, yes, people know that story, but it's an opportunity to maybe give them something else. I mean, it looks like they're going to get a lot anyway, but just give them something else that they don't already know.
Right. No, for sure.
Yeah.
That said, looking forward to it. I think it looks cool. I'm excited about it. The more Wonder Woman up front you can give me, the happier I'll be.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
So something else I'll mention real quick before we get to the main event, because otherwise we'll get emails. We talked a little bit, especially around San Diego Comic-Con, about Crisis on Infinite Earths coming, and we continue to get more developments around that. And so I at least have to mention that one of the most beloved Batmans in history finally gets to do it in live action.
Oh, yes! How did we forget that?
Well, we didn't. That's why I'm bringing it up.
I forgot that.
So yeah, Kevin Conroy is, for the first time ever, going to be in live action in Crisis as at least Bruce Wayne. At least Bruce Wayne. It's unclear as to whether he will actually suit up or not, but still, that's really awesome.
Oh, it's huge. Like that. This Crisis crossover is. I've been pumped for it for a long time because I like the CW crossovers. They're really good, but this is a whole other level. Like this is like they're all an event, but this is an event.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. And did you see too? Like within a day of the announcement of that, there's all these sites posting articles that Mark Hamill's been cast to play the Joker. It's like, yeah, no, that's not official. That's people.
Yes, I have seen it. I hope it's true, but yes, I think right now it's just rumor.
Yeah, it'd be great. It would make a lot of sense.
Well, and then there was also a rumor that Michael Rosenbaum was coming in as a version of Lex Luthor, and then he debunked it himself and said that's not true. So
yeah, on Twitter, yeah.
I'd be all for that too.
He was like, he heard anything, and then he was like at John Cryer.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I'd be all for that too, but apparently that is not happening yet. I wouldn't rule it out. And then another rumor that is out there, I don't know if it's confirmed, is that Black Lightning will indeed also be a part of the crossover.
Yeah, I've read that as well. I took that one as a given because that seemed to come out in the same, actually in a lot of places, the same article as the Kevin Conroy thing.
Yeah, it felt like a no-brainer anyway, but it seems like now it has been confirmed, mostly.
And I correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know where I saw this because there's that many articles popping up about it these days, that Linda Carter isn't going to be in it.
Oh, I thought she was.
Yeah, we all thought that she was, but I'm sure I saw something the other day saying that now she wasn't going to be. But, dude, like, there's that many things popping up about Crisis.
Can't keep track of them. Yeah.
Week. Yeah, and I mean, a lot of them people are sharing things from sites that I just like, you just know it's not legit. And I'm seeing that many though at the moment. It is confusing as to what's what. So yeah, mate, don't quote me on the Linda Carter thing, but I do remember seeing the other day an article from somewhere saying that she's actually said she's not in it, but who knows?
Someone out there better than me needs to keep like a running tally of the cast for Crisis, and then like what's confirmed, what's rumored, what's debunked. Because I can't keep track. There's too much.
No.
But it's exciting. It'll be super fun to watch.
What's actually interesting is I thought I might be able to take in some of Crisis in the States, because it's sort of happening around the time I'm in Hawaii, and I looked at it today. I land back in Australia the day before the first episode. So
oh well.
Yeah,
watch it from the comfort of your own home.
It's fine.
Yeah. Well, cool. That's awesome. I can't wait for it. There was a lot of DC TV. I guess the Wonder Woman's not TV, but a lot of DC TV stuff, which is exciting. And there's a new DC TV show right under our noses happening right now, and you wanted to make sure we talked about it. And so I did my part. I found a way to watch it in China. It wasn't super easy, but it was all right once I figured it out.
Same way I watch it in Australia, funnily enough.
I know, but I just got so used to things being easy.
Yeah.
This is your way of life. I have to adjust. So anyway, without further ado, it is time for us to take a look at the latest current DC show, and that is Pennyworth. And I'll just start off and say that opening theme song is the jam.
It's pretty good.
I dig the hell out of that. I like it.
I'm hanging here because you haven't told me off air, because you only watched the first 3 episodes just before we recorded.
Right.
You haven't told me if you liked it or not, so I'm sort of hanging out.
I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to go the whole episode and not tell you. How about that?
We'll talk about it. You just won't say anything.
I'll just let you talk. I mean, I told you I like the theme song. That's something, right?
That's a good start. I'll take it. It's a
pretty rad theme song. So, of course, I will insert it here for all our friends at home who probably have not watched Pennyworth, because, with all due respect, who has EPIX? Like,
I still don't even know what EPIX is, but
it's a channel.
Is it just it's just a channel on your, like, what you'd call cable TV?
I think it's just a channel on cable, like HBO or Cinemax, I think. But
okay.
Does that mean it has its own app? Like, is it also available streaming? I don't know. It's certainly not on iTunes, because I was willing to just buy the show on iTunes because it's the easiest way to do it, and that's not happening yet. So, yeah, like, I don't know how many people are watching this show, because I don't know how many people have access to EPIX.
Yeah. Well, all I'll say is that I hope people have access to it, because I'm not even going to bury the lead. I love it. I reckon it's a really good show.
Well, great. Then take it away. Spoiler free to start. We should be respectful and we'll give a spoiler warning when we jump over the wall. But to begin, spoiler free. You love it. Go.
Well, I mean, people who've listened to this show, we talked about one of the trailers. I think we talked about the show when it was first announced. I didn't poo-poo it as instantly as other people did. Like, there was that moment where I'm like, oh, really? Like, we probably don't need it. But I did give it the benefit of the doubt, going, well, I do really like the character of Alfred. I really like it in the comics when they sort of reference his, ex-military. Some I'm sure I've read one where he was ex-MI6, some are SAS. I've always liked it when that comes into play. I like it in The Dark Knight when he references being a soldier in, is it Burma, I think, with the ruby the size of a tangerine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that part of Alfred, and it's something they've never really gone into other than sort of passing comments. To my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong, they've never really dived into the comics. So that had me intrigued, and I'll try not to reference this too much, but again, people know I'm a Bond fan. So when I saw the look of the show, it looked like it was set, in sort of that 50s, 60s era, and was going to delve into sort of the espionage background of Alfred. And that trailer, I was like, look, you've got my attention. It looks good, if nothing else. I don't know if it will be, but the trailer looks good. It looks solid. So I was on board, but I still didn't know if I was going to love the show. I mean, I was on board with Gotham. I'll just say that. And I hung in there for 3 seasons, but I never loved it. It just wasn't my thing. This 3 episodes, well, not even the 3 episodes, the pilot, I loved it. Like, it's one of the best pilots I've seen in recent memory. I really, really loved the pilot. I watched it one night here by myself. Jess was at a rehearsal. And I said when she got home, I'm like, you have to watch Pennyworth. Like, we'll watch it tomorrow night. I spent the next day waiting to come home so I could watch it again. And even our friend Julian Chan, he watched it and he messaged me and he's like, dude, that was really good. And I'm like, I know. It's like, it even surprised me. And I was someone who was going to give the show the benefit of the doubt. And it surprised me at how good it was. Not just the story and everything, but the quality of it. Like, it could be a Netflix show. And speaking of, I even said to you the night that I watched the first episode, I'm like, my only criticism was that it's not a Netflix show because I wanted more then and there. Like, I wanted to watch more as soon as I finished watching episode 1. So yeah, I had episode 1 for, I think it was a week and a half, 2 weeks before the other 2 episodes dropped. And they've kept up the same bar. Like, honestly, there's only one thing out of the first 3 episodes that I genuinely didn't like, which we'll get into when we get over the spoiler wall. But the cast are fantastic. The aesthetics really cool. Like, Jack Bannon is awesome as Alfred. I really like Ben Aldridge as Thomas Wayne as well. The cast are really, really strong, and it's a really cool. And it's not for kids. It's definitely not a family show. Like, there's F-bombs galore. There's C-bombs. There's boobs. There's violence. There's blood and guts. Like, it's not a kid show, but what it is friggin' good.
Cool. Yeah, it definitely is another R-rated show from DC.
Yeah.
Definitely. Which we were warned of when we read the review, and that is correct. There is gore, there is violence, there is nudity. I like all those things, so it's fine. It's fine for me. But no, it's not. It's not one to watch with the kids. You said when they announced this show that you were not one of the first to poo-poo it. You were a little more open to it and thought it could be really cool. I was one to poo-poo it. I was just like, why do we need this? Like,
I was on that episode.
Yeah, I was like, why? Like, this is so far in the past that there can be no ties to Batman. There can be no ties to the DC universe. It's just too far gone. And so what you are going to end up with is a period, spy espionage action show that just happens to have characters named after people we know from comic books, I guess.
Which it is. Like, I can be honest, that's exactly what it is. But it's just fun to watch. So that was where I was, and I wasn't super interested in it. And again, it's on EPIX. I'm like, I don't even know how I will watch it, but it's still technically in the world of Batman, so I'm going to have to watch it because at least watch the pilot, but like, I'm not going way out of my way to watch it. But I should at least give it a shot because I have a Batman podcast and I love Batman. And so that is what I thought it was going to be. And as you just said, I was right. That's exactly what it is. It is a show set in the 60s right now in London. I don't know if they end up going elsewhere, but right now, London in the 60s with young Alfred. He's not quite a secret agent, but he used to be SAS. And so he's very capable and he's hiring himself out as like a security expert and therefore having adventures along the way.
But there are no ties to the DC universe other than the fact that this young guy's named Alfred Pennyworth, and he has now run into someone named Thomas Wayne, and then he has now run into someone named Barbara Kane. Not Barbara Kane. I'm sorry.
Martha Kane.
Martha Kane. That's what I was
Why
going
did you
for.
say that name?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's Martha Kane.
Martha Kane. So, aside from the names of 3 characters, this has no connection to DC. So, as far as that goes, I was right. That said, I really liked it.
Oh, thank God. It's really good, isn't it?
It's a really good show. And so if you like a period piece, old school spy espionage action show, if you like that, then you'll probably like this show. But if you want it in any way to incorporate the Batman mythos, like, no, don't. Like, this could be the exact same show, even if they change the names of the characters.
Oh, yeah. But, mate, as we know, this day, it's all about IP.
Yeah. So, like, if, in order to get this show made, if they needed to name the main character Alfred Pennyworth, like, okay, more power to you. But it's a really good show. So you just have to go in going, I guess it's kind of technically a DC show, but not really. But the good thing is that even though it's not really a DC show, it's a really good show on its own. I got really interested and invested in these characters. I really had a good time with the adventures that we have seen. I love the look of the show. The look of the show is amazing.
Well, this is the thing I wanted to mention before when you were saying your little thing, how it's set in the 60s. Is it?
I think so. I mean, based on the music they play, I would say 60s.
But see, that's the thing for me. It almost, because it's, I'm taking it as post-World War II, and that sort of wrapped up in the 40s. Like, it's almost it's got a feel of post-World War II, very almost Victorian feel to it as well, mixed with some of sort of like that feel of the swinging 60s. Like, it's kind of, and then they use sort of the modern songs, like, this isn't really a spoiler, but like, you know, like in the first episode, one of the bar singers is singing Amy Winehouse's Back to Black. Like, it's
oh, were they? I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, no, it's a real mishmash of time, like timeline, and that's something I really like about it. Apart from one thing, which we'll get to like when we get over the spoiler wall, but I mean, you've got your smoky chimneys. There's kind of 1920s looking blimps in the sky. It's a real, throw together of time of like sort of timelines, but it works. Like, the aesthetic's brilliant.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point, because the music threw me off because it wasn't modern, but to me it was much more like 60s music. I didn't hear Amy Winehouse. I missed that. But some of the other stuff I went, and that's why I went, oh, okay, I guess it takes place in the 60s. But you're right, if they just got out of World War II,
yeah,
that
like
would
it's
make
got to
them
be
much
late.
older.
Yeah,
that would
like
make them
mid
older.
to late
Yeah.
40s. Like, yeah.
So maybe, they are just trying to, I mean, sort of what they did on Gotham, and just sort of throw in a bunch of time periods and let it be its own thing. Because that's the
I
other
think
thing
this
that's
is more successful in the way they pull it off. I think the execution's better in this.
I mean, there were many times where I went, what the hell year is this? So I don't know if you say so. Like,
I don't know. I liked it.
I did like it. But there were multiple times where I went, when is this supposed to be? So I don't know. Take that as you will. But that's what's interesting, is that this show is the same creative team as Gotham.
And see, I didn't know that going in. And when I got that first episode, I was actually really excited to watch it, to finally see, like, okay, is this going to be any good or not? And when the name Bruno Heller came up, I was like, oh, Christ. Like, I don't know how I missed it, but I didn't know that he was the showrunner and stuff. And I was like, oh, no. But then I had that moment of like, well, the one thing, in my opinion, that he really did get right in Gotham was Alfred. He was my favorite character. So, okay. But this is a different beast. Like, this ain't Gotham. There's like sort of the real similarity is that, you know, not quite set in stone time frame of it, but everything else is it's not Gotham, not by a long shot.
Well, yeah, so it's Bruno Heller and Danny Cannon who were the two Gotham masterminds. But I remember when Gotham came out, or even as it continued, there are still a lot of fans who went, you know what, if it had just been about Jim Gordon and the police in Gotham,
which is how it was originally pitched,
allegedly.
Well,
I don't know how true that is.
Well,
but
not so
allegedly.
much the pitch. I mean, sort of more the first press release. Sorry, from when they first announced that show. That's how it was pitched to us. Is that it was essentially Gotham Central, the TV show.
Right, and a lot of people would have preferred that approach of Gotham Central. They were like, no Bruce Wayne, no Batman villains, just Gotham Central. And that's what I think a lot of fans wanted out of Gotham. I have mixed feelings about it, but if that's what you wanted out of Gotham, that's what you're going to get with Pennyworth. Because there are no ties to Batman at all. Because there can't be. There just can't be. And so if you are just interested in a young Alfred being his own man and having adventures before he ever becomes a butler and everything, then you'll probably like this without any, at least so far, it's only 3 episodes in, but without any real forced connection to Batman or the Court of Owls or Ra's al Ghul. And like those are things they could eventually, if they get desperate, start trying to incorporate, even though it's way in the past, because there are just enough elements of Batman that reach into the past like that. So you could see them doing that. Like you could see at some point Pennyworth running into the League of Shadows, right? If they really wanted to. But right now they're not. Right now it is just, it's what they said it was going to be. And if you're going in wanting more DC with it, no, you're going to be hugely disappointed. It's not that show. But if you're okay with it just being a cool period action adventure show with a lot of style, I think you will like it. And it just happens to be a DC show. It's more that.
Yeah.
Like the DC aspect is completely incidental. But as you said, I think the cast is really great. I also agree with you in that the show looks really great. Like, this is not a cheap looking show. They do a great job with this period feel of London and England.
It's very cinematic, like, and it kind of is a cross between, I guess, in aesthetic, the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes sort of London, and also in a weird way, kind of the BBC, Cumberbatch Sherlock as well. Like it's definitely pulling from a lot of different time periods, but it just works. It looks really good.
Yeah, no, it looks great. Like there are these great wide shots of old school London, and you mentioned the blimps, which I think are obviously intentional, but it looks amazing. Like they do a really nice job of recreating a London of the past, but as we mentioned, who knows where in the past.
And see, I was worried having sort of that it seemed no one had heard of EPIX. I'm like, I was concerned the show could look cheap as well.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Not. It's definitely not. It looks like a Netflix show.
Yeah, no, it looks great. It could totally be on DC Universe or Netflix, and you wouldn't bat an eye.
No.
So, no, I think it looks great. I think it's shot great. Really good. Like you said, the cast is really good. I don't know any of them, but I really liked them. So I got really invested in Alfred. I really like him a lot. And then all the supporting characters as well. So I got very invested in it, and to the point where I wasn't like, I was never going, oh, I wish they would put in this thing from Batman. I just got invested in the story they were telling, and I enjoyed it for what it was.
But that's the thing, though. It's a story about Alfred, and that's what we're getting. Like, it's not a story about Batman and Batman's world. So, I would hope people don't go in expecting that, because, you're just not going to get it.
Well, yeah, but why would you? Yes, but come on, why does anyone care about Alfred?
Well, yeah, I know, and I mean, look, let's be honest. As much as I love sort of like your spy, shows and movies and things like that, had this show not been called Pennyworth, I wouldn't be watching it.
No, not really, but
it's worked on me. Like, that IP, just getting that name in there has made me go, oh, okay, yeah, I'll watch that. And it just turns out, thankfully, that it's really bloody good.
Yeah, no, it is really good. I really enjoyed it. so far, and all 3 episodes I was really into. So it is a nice surprise in just how good the show is. So I guess I'll just go there. I like I like the heroes, I like the villains, I like the music. It's shot really well, so it's a good time. So I am pleasantly surprised to say that Pennyworth is worth your time as long as you're okay with it not really being a DC show.
And like I will say too, the everyone I know who has watched it now, everyone I know, including you, who has watched it, has liked it, and they've all gone like, "Geez, that was actually really good." And I'm like, "Yes, like who knew?" And a few people have messaged me and they've been like, "I watched Pennyworth and man, I didn't expect that at all, but I can't wait to watch more."
Mm-hmm. No, it's really good. It's very English.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I love the way it's written. They use a lot of English slang, which I just find very interesting. I like it. There's a certain point where a character says, "No skullduggery," and I'm like, oh, who talks like that? I love that.
Yeah. And it's obviously scrumptious with something else, but after watching it, in my inner monologue for about a good hour or so after I watch an episode is in Cockney English. Like I can't not hear the accent.
Yeah. No, it is. It totally is.
You. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and the environments are really cool, which I love that, like the pub that he hangs out in and the streets of London and some of the like secret clandestine bases and stuff. Like overall visually, it's really, really cool.
Thomas Wayne's apartment was gorgeous.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In that first episode.
Yeah. No, it's really good. I don't think it's giving it away, but there's a villain named Sykes who I think she's amazing.
Yeah, which people, again, I don't know if she's big in America or not, but the actress who plays Sykes is Paloma Faith, who's a really well-known British recording artist, sort of like a pop soul R&B singer. Had a really huge hit here in Australia, I think last year or the year before, called Only Love Can Hurt Like This, and like it still gets quite a lot of airplay over here. But yeah, that was another thing when I saw her name pop up in the credits. I'm like, Paloma Faith? Like, what the hell? I didn't know she was an actress, but she's really good.
Oh, she's awesome. She's one of my favorite parts of the show.
Yeah.
So super evil, super entertaining, really good. I really like her.
Funny as well.
I had never heard of her, but she's awesome.
Yeah, no, she's great.
So yeah, for me, she's one of the MVPs of the first 3 episodes. And then Jack Bannon, yeah, he's great as Alfred. I love him. I think he's fantastic. I've never wanted to Alfred more.
Do you have to bleep yourself out there?
Except maybe Michael Goff. Except maybe. Like Michael Goff, I feel like would be a generous lover. But
well, you'd have to be more gentle though.
But Jack Bannon is dreamy, and and he gets some action in the very first episode, and
he does. I mean, he looks the part. Like if you go for the Alfred sort of the very comic style with sort of the dark, hair around the edges and everything, like he's that version of Alfred but younger. Like he looks the part, and it doesn't. And I checked this on YouTube because I didn't know if he was putting it on or not. He sounds like a young Michael Caine. Like he really does. Yeah, like this his voice in the show. Like I'm like, is he doing a Michael Caine or is that just his voice? And I just watched some YouTube videos of him just being interviewed and stuff, and no, that's really how he talks. So he's kind of that comic book Alfred with the Michael Caine element thrown in. He's perfectly cast for this version of the character. He's fantastic.
Yeah. No, he's great as the lead. Like he's just the right amount of like likable and badass.
Oh, charming as hell.
Like charming, likable, somewhat vulnerable, but badass when he needs to be. Like he covers all the bases.
Yeah. I mean, with time periods too, like there's quite a few flashbacks to World War II. Like there's quite a bit of war stuff in here as well, which is really great. Like, and again, that's not cheap either. Like they've spent money on it.
Yeah, definitely. So here's a little nerdy nitpick though, I will say, is it seems like Alfred is younger than Thomas Wayne, and that bothers me a little bit.
Yeah, Yeah, I can see that, but
because that's not how it should. That's not how it should go.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, no, you're right. I hadn't thought of that, but we'll see.
Whatever. I mean, you could argue they're about the same age, but Thomas feels 30, 32, and Alfred says he's 26. So.
I think the height could have a lot to do with it too, because Thomas Wayne's really tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. Alfred always just feels he's always been older. Traditionally. So.
Yeah.
Again,
no,
that's
honestly,
just a nerdy
never
thing.
even thought of that.
Yeah. But no, he's excellent as the lead, and again, I think that the cast, having not known who any of them are, I think overall they're all really great. Mm-hmm. So no, I mean, Pennyworth is a good time. It's a great show. Some grisly gore in there. It took me a little by surprise. And they definitely set up some things to carry through the season with different bad guys and stuff. And yeah. But, I mean, it's kind of nice to see Alfred as his own man with his own life and not be tied to the Waynes yet.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like there's a certain melancholy aspect of Alfred where you're like, they kind of mentioned it in Batman and Robin where it's like, oh, he spent his life in servitude. He spent his life serving this one family. And it makes me happy to be like, no, he was young, he was handsome, he was smashing he was doing his thing.
And it's good to see the stories of this character fleshed out more than just like a passing comment here or there, or like, a small flashback in a comic. Like it's really fleshing it out. And 3 episodes in, this version of Alfred, I can see him training a young man to become someone like Batman. Like he's got the ability there. Like he's a badass.
Yeah, and he's really smart, too.
Oh, yeah.
Because, he can't get out of everything through force alone and through fighting, and so he's really smart in what he does to get the job done, which I really like, too, which we can get into in spoilers.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I mean, this is essentially Alfred as the superhero before he gets older and then supports another superhero.
You ready? Do you want to jump over the wall?
Yeah, so let's jump over the spoiler wall. Pennyworth, if you have access to it, it's definitely worth your time. Again, I really enjoyed it. I'm very pleasantly surprised by how good it is. So, will I continue it if I can continue getting episodes? But if not, when this drops on DC Universe, or if it drops on DC Universe, it would be a great thing to binge. Again, this wouldn't be out of place as one of the DC Universe originals.
No, God no.
So, yeah, it's definitely one that I got really invested in, and so kudos to them, because I was the cynic who was like, why are you doing this? But it's a good show.
Well, I hope that people are listening to this and going, well, if it turned Andy around, maybe I should give it a shot, because you won't be disappointed, in my opinion.
Yeah, I really liked it. So anyway, we are going to jump over the spoiler wall. If you are worried about spoilers, this would be a good time to pause and check it out, or fast forward until the mailbox, whatever you want to do, because we are going to speak freely about at least the first 3 episodes of Pennyworth. So now that the warning is out there, Brendan, anything you want to jump to? I'm not breaking down all 3 episodes. We'll be here all night.
Yeah, okay. I really, really like his mum. Well, I really like his mum. His dad's an asshole. His dad is a butler, and is trying to convince Alfred to go down that path, because Alfred has decided to start his own security service. That's how he meets Thomas Wayne. He's been sort of doing bouncing at a nightclub, but yeah, his dad's a bit of a drunkard as well. He's a bit of an asshole, but his mum, she's awesome. She's so funny. Yeah. Just like something terrible will happen, and she'll be like, might put the kettle on, or Alfred and his dad are at each other, and she's like, oh, hush you two, you'll give me the migraine. Stuff like that. She's
and
great.
I love that, since we're past spoilers, at the end of episode 1, when Sykes ends up at the Pennyworth household and is holding them at gunpoint. There's a certain point where Esme, to her credit, she's the one who kind of starts fighting back, and then Alfred takes the lead. But Mom and Dad get in there too.
oh shit, yeah. Like
That's great. Like, Mom and Dad get in on the fight, which I did not expect. And then when Mom hauled off and hit Sykes in the face, I was like, hell yeah, Mom.
And then, like, when because you don't actually, I don't think you ever hear the male sort of goon's name after he's been knocked out, and Alfred's parents just stand up nice and calmly, and they both just start kicking the shit out of this guy who's knocked out on the ground. But even when Sykes is talking to Alfred's mum, and she's just like, "You're not well, love. Like, you need doctors."
Yeah,
It's really good.
No,
Really
you're
good.
right. She's awesome. And when you mentioned that, because Alfred starts a security service, and that's what is the entry point into all these different conflicts and adventures and whatnot. It reminds me of, like, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but like an 80s TV show. Like, remember there were all these 80s hour-long drama action shows like Hunter and Remington Steele.
Oh, I remember
and
Hunter,
Heart to Heart. Like, all of these where they're all PIs, and these PIs keep getting hired for random jobs, and then each job is an episode. This feels like that, because he's this security consultant. He keeps getting hired for random jobs that, of course, always go wrong, and then he's got to use his ingenuity to get them out. So it reminds me of that, but like in a fun, throwbacky way.
And like essentially, he's got his two best friends as well, who are Bazza and Dave Boy, who served, in his party overseas. Dave Boy, do you kind of get the feeling that he's sort of more of an R-rated version of, oh shit, I'm blanking. The Scotsman from Wonder Woman.
I can see that. Yes, Bazzy and Dave Boy do feel like similar to like Wonder Woman's crew in that movie. They feel like the Pennyworth version of that, sure.
Yeah, but that's not really criticism either, because they're really cool characters.
And it's just like the Howling Commandos and Captain America. Like, it's that trope. So where that character has his crew from the war that follows him. Wonder Woman had the same. Pennyworth has it too. Like, it's that, which is fine. Like, he's got his buddies.
You mentioned Esme, who's the sort of the love interest of the series. How smooth was Alfred when he asked her out? He just had his nose busted, got punched outside. He's walked back into the club. His nose is bleeding. She's sort of this dancer showgirl walking off the stage. She's like, "Oh, do you need a hanky?" And he takes it, and she's like, "Did someone punch you?" And then, like, he's sort of wiping his nose, and he's like, "Oh, I've got blood on it." He's like, "I'll get this laundered for you." He's like, "Oh, I could give it back to you on Saturday." And she's like, "I don't work Saturday." She's like, "Neither do I. Maybe in, I can't remember what the park is, maybe in such and such park. Like, I hear the weather's going to be lovely." And she's like, "That's very forward." He's like, "No, I've seen the forecast." Like, he's so smooth. I'm like, man, that's some smooth talking guy. Like, I like knowing that Alfred's capable in that department too. He's not just good at, fighting. He's good at picking up the ladies. That was smooth as hell.
Exactly. I'm glad that Alfred, sowing his oats. I will say though, like, so they go to this awkward dinner with his parents, and of course his dad like makes it all weird, and so it works. As they're leaving, Esme dumps Alfred. And just as she dumps him, she gets kidnapped by Sykes and being held hostage so Alfred has to go get Thomas Wayne to make a trade. And so she had just dumped him, and then she gets abducted, and she's like, Alfie! And I just wanted him to go, "You dumped me, not my problem."
Yeah, this sounds like a you problem.
Sorry, yeah. That's should have thought better of it,
Because, I mean, the villains, it's sort of the Raven Society. Is sort of the band of, what would you call them? Kind of like the Court of Owls, but not really. I think
they're not
a secret
They're loosely
society.
Inspired by the Court of Owls.
Yeah, because I mean, people
where it's this evil secret society in England that's trying to overthrow the government. And they're the big bads.
Then you've got the No Names, who they're a society as well, but they're against the Raven Society, and sort of the No Names, it appears, are kind of tied into CIA potentially and things like that. But I mean, maybe my favorite scene in the pilot is the scene where Alfred is, handcuffed in sort of the castle, I guess you could call it, of the head of the Raven Society, and he's there handcuffed. Like, it's just him. Dave Boy and Bazar aren't there. I mean, they're outside as backup, but the Ravens don't know that yet. And Alfred's in a room with the head of this society. There's maybe 3 to 4 goons in there as well. He's got nothing. He's got nothing he can do. And at no point is he not in command of that room. Mm-hmm. Like, the head of the Ravens what's his name?
His name, I have it right here, Lord Harwood.
Harwood, that's right. He thinks he's calling the shots, but Alfred calls him on everything. He's just, and it happens again in the second episode too. You think he's completely outnumbered, and Alfred never shows or feels that he's not in control of the situation, and he is. He takes out this room of guys handcuffed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it works. It's really, really good to watch.
And I like that Dave Boy, like, he gives them the order, like, oh, if you don't hear from me in an hour, leave. And he goes, that's an order. And I love that Dave Boy is like, I don't care. I'm going in to get my guy. And he goes in guns a-blazing. And that old lady gets the better of him for a second.
You got that? Yeah, there's this really old lady when Alfred first busts into the mansion, and he's like, "Excuse me, where would I find the lady captive?" And
right.
The old woman just kind of looks at him, and I love the way he. She's about 90 in the shade, this old bat, and she just sort of doesn't want to answer the question, and Alfred just kind of like shrugs, and just the way he pulls his gun on her, and he's just like, "If you please." And she just nods in the direction. He's like, "Thank you," and puts his gun away and walks off. But yeah, the old granny comes out, guns are blazing, and sort of shoots Dave Boy. Like, he wounds him, doesn't kill him. Shoots him, and Bazza comes in and shoots her from behind, and Dave Boy's on the ground. He's like, "You killed a granny!"
Yes. Yeah, that was great. And I love that prior to that, when they were originally going to make the switch, and I love how, like, Thomas Wayne is so reasonable about the whole thing. Like,
when Alfred first walks in, "Are you Thomas Wayne?" He's like, "No." Alfred pulls his gun. He's like, "Yes, I'm Thomas Wayne." Like,
yeah. But, like, he knows that they're not bad guys. He knows that Alfred's just trying to save Esme, but at the same time, he doesn't want to die either. And so it's just such a funny back and forth between them, where he's like, "I get what you're doing. I just would rather not get killed," and how he tries to talk himself out of it. But when they try to make the switch, and they didn't bring Esme, and Alfred had prepared for that, and Thomas thought he knew better and was like, "Yeah, I told you. And Alfred's like, "Hey, get down." And they just take out all those Ravens, and Dave Boy is the bad cop, and they aren't gonna talk, and he makes sure they talk.
Yep. He just blows one of their heads off. And Alfred's like, "We're not animals." And Dave was just like, "What?" Now this guy's going to tell us exactly where they are.
He goes, "That was a convincer. Did it work?"
Oh, man. It's so much fun. It's really, really cool. And even Esme, like, she overpowers Sykes at one point. Like, she takes her out with a kettle.
Yeah. Like, they're dancing together, which is so bizarre. And then, Esme, she fights for herself, which is great.
On there. Like, in future episodes, it's even like Sykes has got something for Esme. And I think it's because she beat her.
Yes, yeah. She totally has a crush on Esme. Yeah.
But, this is all episode 1. I will jump to the part that the one scene out of the 3 episodes that I just genuinely didn't like, and I think it's pushed it sort of went into Gotham territory for me, and it's pushed the unknown time era of it just that little bit too far, is the end of episode 2. There's an execution scene, where a heap of people are being hung.
Yeah.
And they do it kind of like it's still medieval times, in that there's a huge crowd gathered to watch it, but it feels like it's in the 60s. There's a live TV broadcast. There's commentary. That pushed it just a little bit too far for me. It's kind of like, public hangings weren't a thing in London.
Yeah, I thought that. I was like, did they do that as recently as the 60s? Because again, in my brain, it's in the 60s. But I'm like, did they televise hangings in the 60s and I just don't know this?
No. Well, that's the thing too. Like in the opening sort of back in the pilot episode, when you're sort of seeing London for the first time, like you're seeing horse and carts, you're seeing cars, and then there's like someone, I can't remember what they're doing on the street, like they're sort of having like an argument, and then there's someone in a gallows on the street. Like,
there's like cages up.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah,
with
this is
people in them.
It's all over the place. But yeah, it's just that one scene, and that hanging scene too. Like it's people in hoods getting hung, but after they're hung, there's a guy with like a what do you call, like a wraith or a sheath or whatever, and he's just cutting bodies open, and you're seeing like intestines and guts like falling on the ground. Like it's pretty full on.
Well, and that's the other thing is they hang them and then they like disembowel them.
They just gut them straight away. Yeah.
Like, was that a thing?
I don't know. Make sure they're dead, I guess.
Yeah, like
I know back in like biblical times when they were crucified, like they'd stab them as well, make sure they were dead.
Huh.
Like,
wow.
Yeah. But I mean, in episode 2, you've got sort of Jason Ripper is kind of the bad guy in terms of. Do you think they're tackling the Jack the Ripper thing? Like, was his uncle meant to be sort of like
I think.
Jack the Ripper?
I mean, it's not supposed to be the Jack the Ripper, but obviously they're doing a spin on Jack the Ripper, where his uncle is sort of like the head of this Ripper society almost, because at the beginning there was a number of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels kind of like almost like a mafia-esque type thing where the uncle's the head of the family and all the other family members are kind of like the lackeys and things like that. And he seems like he's like he works in a morgue or something. I
just took that as like his evil lair.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that could be.
And so that was like one of the victims of.
No, that's probably true. But the Jason character, do you reckon he to me he kind of looked like Clarion, the witch boy, a little bit.
Oh, I didn't.
Kind of like a live action version of Clarion, because there was a moment where I'm like, are they going to do that character? But then it just turns out he's just Jason Ripper. He's the nephew of the head of the Ripper family, and like even the way that Alfred treats him is fantastic. Like there's that scene where he's just run out of the pub, Jason's giving chase, and then Alfred's in a back alley with face to face with Jason and again maybe 4 or 5 other people, and he's totally outnumbered, and Alfred's the one going, I'm going to give you a chance to walk away now, otherwise this isn't going to end well for you.
Yeah.
And they're just like, what are you, can you see like what's going on here? And Alfred's the whole time is just not backing down. He's like, I'm telling you, you need to walk away now, leave this girl alone and you'll be okay. If not, and then sure enough, Dave Boy and Bazza come around the corner and all hell breaks loose.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I loved about it. Was number one, I do love that they were doing a spin on Jack the Ripper. I think Jack the Ripper is cool. I don't think it's cool what he did, but I just think the legend of Jack the Ripper is cool, and so it's a fun thing to weave into the show. I don't think we've seen the last of that guy.
No.
So when I said they're setting up things for the future, we've got Lord Harwood, who is still alive at the end of episode 3. We've got Sykes, and I do think that Ripper is going to come back. I think that's I think that's cool.
The Prime Minister's tied up in stuff too.
Yeah, right. So I like that, and then I like that they were like, oh, we can't touch this guy because his uncle is this, and I forget what was his first name? Something Ripper.
I can't remember now.
Okay, I can't either. But they're like, oh, basically, his uncle is this Ripper guy. So nobody can touch him, and we just have to deal with him coming in and harassing my daughter. And
Alfred doesn't want to touch it either. Because
exactly, Alfred's like, you know who this guy is. I don't touch this stuff.
Yeah, like I'm starting a serious, like an above board, like, security company, and this is just going to cause trouble. Like it's just going to put people in danger.
Right. And eventually he can't help it. He gets involved. But yeah, you ask that question. It's like, how does he get away with this? How does he take out the little shit but not have reprisals from the uncle?
And it was so clever.
Yeah, and it was so clever to basically just do full disclosure with the uncle.
Yeah, and he came in
being
straight
like-
away. He's like, I've known who you are since I'm a child. I have nothing but respect for you. And then it sort of keeps cutting back between the scene with Alfred and the head of the Ripper matriarch or whatever. And then Bazza and Dave Boy have Jason tied up in a room with a blindfold on, and he thinks like they're not, but he thinks they're going to torture him. Like they're just banging tools together and stuff. Like it's a trope that's used in movies and TV shows all the time, but it's really funny. And they break him. He said, "No, I'll tell you everything about my uncle. I'll tell you everything." And then you just hear, "That's enough." And Alfred walks in with the uncle, and the uncle's like, "My own flesh and blood." Like he was going to sell him out.
Yeah. So it's great to be like, hey, this little shit isn't worth killing me over because look how easy he's going to sell you out. And so it creates this really awkward, and you don't know if it's going to work, but essentially like a respectful truce with the Ripper, which is crazy, and it's a hell of a move, and it could have very easily gone badly. Like when he's in the office and Ripper pulls that thing and the chair falls back into the pit, and you're like, oh Jesus, this just took a bad turn. But yeah, Alfred kept his cool and got out of there. So like,
and I think it was the Ripper's way of showing I could kill you if I wanted to.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, like basically his strategy is like, just put it all out there. Here's who I am. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what happened with your shithead of a nephew. Here's why he's not worth it. And then here's how we can help each other in the future.
And it's at the end of this episode where Alfred proposes.
Right.
He proposed, which I can't remember if it was in the first episode or if it's early in the second episode. It might be the first, where Esme is sitting on the bed, looking gorgeous in like a satin nightie. And she says to Alfred, why do you love... No, yeah, she says to him, why do you love me, or why do you feel the way you do about me? And he's like, well, that's a bit of a silly question. He's like, well, no, I thought it'd be obvious. And he gives like a really heartfelt answer. And then she goes, oh, good answer. He cracked me up. He goes, well, I was going to say it's because you got nice boobs, but I thought better of it. Which cracked me up. And then he's like, see, I'm learning.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because she was going to leave him in episode 1 because she was afraid he couldn't support her, essentially. Mm-hmm. And then by episode 3, she got mad at him for being like, oh, I don't think I can support you.
Well, that was because Esme's father didn't approve, and not getting the father's approval, that meant a lot to Alfred. So he was kind of like, yeah, that's why he was walking away. And we find out that she's actually an heiress, and the father was going to cut her off, and she doesn't care. She's like, I told my father to go f*** himself and stick his money. And Alfred pulls her up. He's like, hey, that's your dad. Like, that's your future. Like, you should care. Like, you can't just throw it away.
Yeah, but at the same time, again, that's kind of why she tried to leave him in episode 1.
Yeah. It's a rocky relationship.
I feel like she had a change of heart pretty quickly from being like, oh, I don't think this is going to work, we're too different, to 2 episodes later being like, I don't care about anything, he can cut me off.
But I think too, the thing that changed in between those two sentiments was Alfred saving her life when the Ravens.
Well, that's true.
When the Ravens kidnapped her.
I thought it was hysterical that Thomas Wayne essentially said what I did, which is, oh, she dumped you, then why are we doing this?
Yeah. Yeah, like they call it out.
Yeah, at least they acknowledged it because,
I
mean, of course you still care. Of course you would still try to save her. But it, the dark part of my soul thought, oh, she just dumped you. You're off the hook, dude.
Yeah.
Not your problem.
Episode 2 is when we start getting a few C-bombs thrown in there as well.
Yeah.
Which was funny going from the boys to Pennyworth because, boy, there's a lot of them in the boys. But I know, I think I sold, might have been Philip from the Real from Real Fans, who I was chatting to the other day, and he was sort of umming and ahhing about Pennyworth. And I was like, there's a lot of C-bombs in it. He goes, you might have just sold me because I love hearing the Brits say that word. He said it's so funny. I'm like, well, there's a few in there. Like, it's yeah, if that's what tickles your funny bone. But, it does get, I think, I mean, all 3 episodes are very violent and stuff, but episode 3, there's some shit that goes down that's kind of like, oh my god, like, you know, the what I referenced at the start of the episode, like the guy at the poker table.
Yeah.
When Dave Boy's just completely wasted, and Baz is sort of playing this, would you say, kind of like high roller, like upper class poker game, and Dave Boy wakes up just drunk, like has been drunk for hours, didn't know where he was, and you know, he's just causing trouble, being rude and unruly, and a guy at the table pulls a gun on him. And Dave Boy has been having nightmares about what he witnessed in the war, and this is his way of dealing with it. Like, he doesn't want to die, but he says, like, I'm just passing the time. Like, you know, the war's ruined him. And this guy pulls a gun on him, and because Dave Boy's a soldier and stuff, he knows that the guy who has the gun isn't the sort of guy that's going to shoot him. To the point where he walks up and rests his head on the gun. Like, you know, he's got literally pressing his head into the gun, baiting the guy to shoot him. You know, like he says the line, you know, this guy wouldn't shoot me if I was titty effing his something or other mother.
His weeping mother.
Yeah, it's just like, holy...
Which I was like, well, there's a visual.
Yeah, it's like, holy shit. Like, you know. And anyway, Dave Boy gets the gun off of him, and you know, this guy sits down and kind of relaxes, and Dave was like, oh, you know, what's your name and whatever else, and friends, and throws in the gun, and as he throws in the gun, it goes off, and you see this guy's brain just blow out the back of his head.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
No, Jess and I, when we first watched it, we were like we were just sitting there with our hand over our mouths going, holy shit. Like,
yeah, I definitely was like, oh God. I was not expecting that.
And I know we're jumping all over the place, but talking about the line about titty effing the mother, there was a line in the second episode where Jason says to Alfred, when they're sort of first confronting each other at the bar, and he's like, tell me, Alfred, would you F your mother to save her life? And Alfred's just like, well, it's a weird question. He's like, no, it's important. Answer the question. Would you F your mother to save her life? And Alfred turns around and he goes, mate, your mother's been lying to you, because doing that's not going to save her. And I was like, oh, that was a wicked burn.
Yeah, Alfred's response to that was amazing.
So good.
Very quick on his feet. But yeah,
Martha.
like the...
Sorry, you go ahead.
That? Oh, no, I was just going to say, so, like, yeah, the Dave Boy Baza thing in episode 3, like, that really took me off guard, but I didn't really care for that B story. I was just like, why? I don't know. Like, I guess it gave them something to do, but I wasn't into it. I loved the A story with Alfred and Martha.
So I was about to say, we meet Martha Kane.
Yeah, so I loved that story, but yeah, the thing about, like, Baza just on this, like, self-destruction war path, I just was like, I don't know, I wasn't into it. Especially because it, like that dude just died, and they wrap it up as if like, whatever, shit happens. And I was like, really? Like, that dude is dead.
Like, it kind of tied in the fact that sort of towards the end of that episode where, you know, Martha says that her dad was in the army. And because you have seen Alfred, I think it actually, the first episode when you first see Alfred, it's him waking up from a nightmare from a war flashback. And it happens a little bit to Dave Boy in the third episode, and Martha says that, you know, her father was a soldier, and Alfred said, you know, did he ever tell you about the nightmares? And she goes, no, he always said he slept like a baby, and Alfred just goes, he was lying to you.
Yes.
And walked out.
That was great, and I get it. I get that they're doing the PTSD post-war. I totally get it. But just the Dave Boy,
yeah, I know what you mean,
subplot thing was just I just didn't find it all that interesting.
Yeah.
I like it much better with Alfred. Like I said, like what you just said, that scene I thought was awesome. And yes, you certainly see Alfred haunted by the past. And I like what preceded that scene where he was like, yeah, like, I don't want to carry a gun. And she's like, you're a weird soldier who doesn't carry a gun and doesn't like violence. And he's like, and that was what leads to what you just said. So I think all that's really good and all really well written. It just, the Dave Boy Baza side plot just didn't feel like it had any real effect on what was going on. It just felt like extra crap to give them something to do.
Yeah. No, I get that. But yeah, like Martha was a cool character as well, like smoking hot just quietly.
Yeah, she's awesome. She was
great. She admits to being part of the No Name Society, but it would appear that there's American government funding happening there because, they're in a real jam. And, she says to Alfred, what do we do? Name your price. And he's like, £10,000. And she goes, done. And Alfred's reaction of just was like, that was really funny as well. But, they have to rescue this, I guess, professor who's homosexual and is arrested for, well, as the cop said, for buggery. He's arrested for it. The partner isn't arrested, but he's at the police station as well. And it turns out that Martha needs to get this guy out of police custody and onto a plane because whatever invention he was working on, it's a big deal. And, she kind of fakes being a lawyer to get him out of jail. And Alfred's her, I guess, what she does, a scribe or something.
She calls him the clerk, I think.
That's right, a clerk. And that, they worked that out really well. Like they managed to wrangle to get them both out of police custody. And there's a really awesome scene. Probably the what would you say, like the feature scene of that episode is at like an old aircraft hangar and everything. They're waiting for a plane to land. So the scientists and the invention and what turns out to be the boyfriend as well they all leave, but the Raven Society show up as the plane's landing. They shoot the transformers and the power goes out, so the plane can't land. And Alfred gets them out of the fix by really pulling a huge bluff, like saying to the Ravens that he's going to shoot the professor. Like, the plane's not going to land because the lights are out. They can't smuggle him out of the country. You can try again tomorrow, or I can kill him now. And, you go back to your boss and say that you failed. And I know what that's like. And, they leave. And this is where he goes inside. And Martha's like, well, have they actually gone? He's like, no, they're waiting to ambush us down the end of the road. She's like, well, what are we going to do? And he's just like, follow me. And this is where he kicks into, I guess, SAS mode. Like, he finds a tanker truck, puts a puncture in the fuel tank, and then drives it up and down the runway and says to Martha, like, count to 15 slowly. And then she drops a lighter, and then obviously the flame makes the runway light up and the plane can land, and they get the professor and the invention and stuff out of the country safely. But it's just sort of that ingenuity of Alfred was so cool and calm under pressure when you think, well, how the hell are they going to do this? Like, what are they going to do? And he just straight away, he knew what the plan was. He had the backup all along.
Right. No, and that's what I love is, like, in episode 2, the way he dealt with the Ripper I thought was really brilliant. And then here, same thing, where it's like they're outgunned, they're outmanned. How do you get out of this situation? And I'm not convinced that the bluff would work in real life, but for the sake of the story, it works. And then what he does to make sure that runway is visible so the plane can land, I think was brilliant. So I love that. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
And this whole episode felt like it was like a mini version of The Imitation Game with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, it's a bloody good movie, actually.
Very, very much inspired by that because the professor was inventing the computer. And that's what everybody wanted to get a hold of, but he also happened to be gay, which was illegal at this time. And so they were going to castrate him, which is what happened to, I think it was Alan Turing, I think was his name, was the guy that Benedict Cumberbatch played, who did all these amazing things and then was tragically castrated because of that. So this was very much like a happier ending version of that movie.
Speaking of happy ending, it was funny when, like, Alfred was telling Bazza and Dave Boy what the mission was, and he had to save he was under arrest for homosexuality, and Dave Boy's like, because it was £5 an hour that Martha was going to pay them. He's like, for £5 an hour, I'll come along. I'll even wank him off.
Yeah, which
was pretty funny. But and this is where Martha's obviously going to be a recurring character as well, because it ends up where she gives him the £10,000 and he's like, I don't trust you. Like, I know you're either CIA, you're not who you say you are, but you've got money and I need money. And, you know, he uses the money to get a really, really nice flat in London that he rents, you know, for Esme. He said he was it for 3 years or something, like
2 years. Yeah, he said 2 years up front. Yeah.
You know, and then obviously they're back together and they're going to live together, and yeah, just
they get engaged, they get unengaged, and they get re-engaged. Yeah.
Quick side note: did you ever watch The Crown?
No.
On Netflix? Okay, so when I was doing a little bit of an IMDb dive watching this, the actress who plays Esme, she's going to be playing Princess Diana in the upcoming season of The Crown.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
So we'll be seeing a bit more of her.
Well, there's a scene, I think it was in episode 1, where he does meet the Queen, and he's given a medal, and she's basically like, thank you for everything you've done, never tell anyone.
Yeah, and the Queen's very young, kind of hot. I don't know if it's meant to be Queen Elizabeth or if it's just meant to be, you know, like the Queen of England. They don't ever specify that it's Elizabeth, but she was very flirty with him too. Did you notice? Like,
yeah. Well, Alfred's a stud,
and like she said that, you know, I'm going to need people I can trust in the future, which makes me wonder, like, could this go down the path of potentially being a part of, you know, Her Majesty's government, like MI6, like, you know, hoping this show gets, based on the first 3 episodes, I'm hoping it gets at least 3 seasons. Like, I don't want to see it wrapped up after 1.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll see, but they definitely planted a lot of seeds that they can exploit as the show continues. Mm-hmm. And yeah, like I said, Lord Harwood is still going to be around to make their life miserable. So, you know, he gets
Is it Harwood or Voldemort by the end of the 3rd episode?
Exactly. Yeah, so he gets captured, he gets tortured, and I was shocked that they just like let him go.
And this is all under the order of the Prime Minister too.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister's the one who's sort of torturing him. Then he's like, take him to the barber?
Yeah, the barber.
Yeah.
And at the end they just let him out, but he's been like mutilated. He lost his nose, he's missing a leg. There was probably more. It was the camera shot was pretty tight, so I couldn't see all that went wrong with his body, but yeah, man, he was messed up. So I do wonder if, like, is he going to get like a robot leg or something, and they're going to make it a little more comic booky that way, you know, something like that. Because
this
when
sort
he
of
made
showed
his
it
entrance,
almost be steampunky. Almost.
Yeah, like when he made the entrance and he had that big cape with the huge like shoulder pads, like that felt very like comic book villain, Count Vertigo type thing. So I do wonder if maybe
that terrible Avengers movie.
Right. That's the best Bond movie, actually, is that Avengers movie.
Ugh. Good night.
It's the best one. But yeah, so like I do wonder if, like, oh, now that he's mutilated, is he going to have some sort of fake limbs or something on his face that's going to be a little more comic book based, you know, something like that.
Potentially.
Like Dr. Poison in Wonder Woman, how she had the mask, and nothing too over the top, but I just feel like they could do that to just have the visual of something that's a little more out of the ordinary.
Yeah. No, I can see that happening.
We shall see.
We shall.
Whenever season 4 comes out.
Yeah. Season 4, episode 4. I'm hoping season 4.
Right. Right. But yeah, so I mean, you got Sykes out there, you got Harwood out there, you've got Ripper, and again, I thought Sykes was a hoot. Her sister saves her from the gallows.
Yes.
Which means that there was some poor innocent woman in there screaming. I kept waiting for them to show us who got hung in her place, but they never showed.
I just took it was one of the female guards, because it was 2 female guards who escorted her from her cell to the gallows.
Yeah, I assumed that to be the case as well, but
and the sister who's a dominatrix.
Yeah, like what's going on there? Like they go hole up in this house with this old couple, and like by the end, like the old lady's in her underwear and the old man is like mostly naked under the table. Like what's
because they go to the house.
That was really weird.
Because I think it's because they know the police won't look from there, but they go to the house and she says something like, is there a what name is it? I don't know.
Yeah, she says a name that like is weird.
Yeah. And the old woman's like, there's no one by that name here. And she's like, oh, there is. And it's the old guy, because he's obviously gone and seen her at the dominatrix club a few times.
Okay, see, I completely missed that. Like,
Yeah,
that's
what it
why she
was.
would know him.
Yes,
Yeah,
she knew
okay.
him because he was a client.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, and that's why at the end,
But-
but he's under the table and calling her madam or mistress or something. And yeah, that's what it is. It's the S&M.
Got it. So, yep. So Sykes is still going to cause trouble. Like the scene where she sends the letters and the letter gets to Esme, like I can just imagine how horrifying that is to get a letter from the person who kidnapped you, was going to kill you, like, and you think it's over and then you get a letter.
It's like reverse Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, yeah.
Because Sykes genuinely thinks they're friends and they've got a relationship. And Esme's terrified of her.
Right.
And the sister
I would
calls
be
her on it.
too.
She's like, you kidnapped and tortured her, you stupid bitch. She's terrified of you.
Yeah. So, no, more things to explore in the future. But in the meantime, I think that the show is off to a really good start. I really like it. Again, I will continue watching it as long as convenient. But yeah, I hope that more people give it a shot because, yeah, I said it before, but I was pleasantly surprised. It's a good show.
Yeah. And that's why I really wanted to talk about it with you. I mean, I knew we would have anyway, because like you said, it's a Batman. Well, it's a, quote unquote a Batman, a Batman show.
It's
and
sort of, kind of, a little bit
and you've got
connected
a Batman
to Batman,
podcast,
maybe.
Like,
Yeah.
you had to talk about it, but that's why I really wanted to do it because, yeah, the general consensus from the get-go has been, oh, well, we don't need this, and this will be terrible, and blah, 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 blah. Honestly, if you're listening and you were on the fence, or even if you were like Andy and Jamie and stuff, you weren't even on the fence, you were firmly on the side of I'm not going to watch it, seriously give it a shot because I think you're going to be genuinely surprised. It's a solid show. Like, it's really, really good.
Yeah. No, I agree. And, and if this sort of thing is in your wheelhouse, like they made this show for Brendan Lowe. Everyone else is a bonus.
Kind of, yeah, funnily enough.
But, like, I love period stuff, I think that's super cool. I love England. Like, I like this. It's not, like, in my wheelhouse the way it is in Brendan's, but, like, it has enough elements that I am going to enjoy it, whether or not it's connected to DC or Batman. So if you have any interest or if you like any of those sort of things, I think you will enjoy this show. But many people have said, oh, you just have to forget that it is connected to DC. And I can imagine people going, well, if I have to do that, then why would I watch it? And
yeah.
And I think that's fair and I get it. But for me, again, watching it really is homework because I was going to do this episode. I did get sucked in and I really had a good time with it. And the fact that it's tangentially related to Batman is just, it just is what it is. But the show itself, it's a quality show. It looks good. They spent money on it. The acting is great. The writing is great. I'm having a really good time with it. And it just, the DC aspect doesn't matter.
And that's why I said before, like, because it is in my wheelhouse with the whole Bond thing and everything. But unless this show dropped on Netflix or something and someone recommended it to me, I wouldn't have watched these episodes. Yes, I like that sort of thing, but they're not the kind of shows that I seek out. Superhero shows, I seek out. They're my weekly thing. They're my bread and butter. I'll go to the movies and watch a spy movie or a Bond movie or like a cool espionage movie. Like, I don't really watch too many TV series or really any TV series like that. But it's the name Pennyworth. That was the hook. Like, that's what got me. And I mean, if that's what they were going for, it worked. Like, I wouldn't be watching it if there wasn't that very, very small, albeit small, but if there wasn't that connection there.
Right. And I hope it works for them because it's good. It deserves to be seen. But I wouldn't say it definitely wouldn't get an audience because they're, right now, especially with stuff like Amazon and Netflix and Hulu and now EPIX, like they're having a lot more success with original programming that are just critically acclaimed, and so people are finding them, like The Crown or The Man in High Castle or
Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is one on.
Yeah, like all that stuff. Like that doesn't have a comic book tie-in, and it's fine. Those things are finding an audience. So I think that something like this could still find an audience without the DC connection. But if the DC stamp on it gets more people to give it a shot, then more power to it. So hopefully all you folks out there at home give it a shot. If you're interested, give it a shot. Brendan and I both think that you will probably enjoy it the way we did.
Yep. Seconded.
Awesome. So Pennyworth, another not another Batman show, but kind of. I was thinking though, as I was watching it, I was like, I know that DC fans can get frustrated because things aren't running like the well-oiled machine are over at Marvel, and I think that can be frustrating for DC fans. And you'll see a lot of fans being like, well, why not? What about Justice League? What about Man of Steel 2? What about this? What about that? And there's frustration, and I get it, and I don't even disagree with it. But we still are in a place where like we're getting so much original content continuously, and it's all very different, but like hopefully some quality. Of that, yeah, like for me, I'm really liking most of it. So I hope that like for the frustrated fans, even though things aren't running as smoothly as we want them to, we're still constantly getting new stuff, whether it be the DC Universe live action stuff, the animated stuff, the movies, now this, like we keep getting things. And so like, I don't know, I like to look at the half full portion of the glass and say like it's amazing that we have a show based on Alfred Pennyworth.
And look, and I get it too, because like honestly, the only DC show that I don't watch is Krypton. Because I was like other people, I'm like, I don't want to watch a show about Superman's grandfather. Like, what's that got to do with anything? But the people I know who watch that show have all said it's actually really good. Like, you should give it a shot. And the lead actor was on an episode of Fat Man on Batman a few weeks ago, and they were sort of giving a rundown of what season 1 was about and what sort of looking like could happen in season 2. And even hearing that, I was like, shit, I actually kind of need to give this show a shot. Like, it's only a 10-episode season. And it sounded cool. Like, and I will get to it one day, but I do understand the people that are like, well, why do you want that? I don't want to watch that. Like, because that's how I felt about Krypton. But, I'm still going to give it a shot one day, and I might be pleasantly surprised.
I watched the first couple episodes, and it was okay, but it didn't grab me. So I never went back, but I'm willing to give it another shot, especially now because once the season ended, it did get dropped on DC Universe. And I hope that Pennyworth is the same way. It's like, no, you want first run on EPIX. They paid for it. Let them have the viewership. But once it wraps up, put it on DC Universe for the people who couldn't watch it, and maybe that'll drive more people to season 2, which is, I think, exactly what they were trying to do with Krypton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, well, good stuff. Glad we enjoyed it. I'm glad that, I didn't watch 3 episodes and hate them, because that would have sucked.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it, because I was so worried that it would have been me going, but it's really good, and then you, like, hating it.
But now, to be consistent, we are going to review the next 3 episodes of Batman Beyond.
And you'll hear my attitude just change completely.
No, we are not going to do Batman Beyond just because we had so much else to talk about this episode, so we'll be back with that next time. But, of course, we have to check in with you, all our friends out there, in the Wayne Manor mailbox. It's time again for the Wayne Manor mailbox.
You've got mail.
Darren, what is a letter for me?
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger. This is all, Master Wayne.
All right, this message here is from Thomas Olson. It says, "Hey, Andy, Jamie, and Brendan. Thanks for the great show. I'm curious about how you would rank the DCEU films. What is your ranking from least favorite to favorite? I'm also curious to hear what are your thoughts on Suicide Squad 3 years later. If I remember it right, each of you enjoyed it when it first came out. One last question. It's more of a personal question for Andy, but what moved you out to China? Maybe I missed it where you discussed it. Keep up the great work." Thomas, thank you for the message. Good to hear from you. I feel like we did the ranking before, but we can do it again.
Possibly.
So least favorite to favorite, Brendan.
Just trying to think. I would probably go... And let me just preface this by saying I do genuinely like all of them. Like, I don't dislike any of them. Probably Suicide Squad, Justice League. Trying to remember now. BVS. What else have we got there?
Shazam, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and Man of Steel.
Then I would go Aquaman, Man of Steel, Shazam. No, swap that. I'll go Shazam, Man of Steel, Wonder Woman. Did I get them all?
Yes. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So from bottom to top, I agree. Suicide Squad at the bottom. But like you said, I really enjoy all of these. So like the difference is kind of between a B and an A+ for all of them. So even though Suicide Squad is last, I still like it.
Yep, definitely.
Then I would go with Shazam.
Oh, really?
Then I love it, but I just like the other ones a little more. Then I'd go Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'd go Man of Steel.
Mm-hmm.
Then Batman versus Superman. Then Aquaman, and then Wonder Woman at number 1.
Okay. Interesting.
So, and then 3 years later, like Suicide Squad has become one of the whipping boys of the DC films, but I still really like it. I still think it's a hell of a lot of fun.
It's the only one that won an Oscar. Just saying.
Yeah. Certainly not perfect, but I think it gets more hate than it deserves. I think it's a good movie.
I can still watch it and enjoy it for what it is. Like, similar to BVS and Suicide Squad, is it, did we get what we were intended to get? No. Would I have preferred to see the version we were intended to get? Of course I would. Can I still enjoy the version that we got? Yes.
For sure. And then what moved me out to China? Work. I got an amazing new opportunity working on a big project out in Beijing, and I was able to accept it. And so I'm out here for about 1.5 years working on that project, and I'm very excited about it. So, yep, sometimes opportunities pop up and it's a huge change and it means a huge leap, but got to take it. All right, next message here. This is from Dustin Balcom. It says, "Hey guys, I wanted to say I really enjoyed last week's episode. I've been a listener now for almost 2 years, and you provide great content when I'm stuck driving to work. I feel that growing up, I was the prime age for Batman Beyond. I was only 7 or 8 when it aired, and I loved it. For me, it was the legacy aspect of someone taking over Batman with futuristic criminals. I've always been a huge fan of legacy characters most of the time more than the originals, and it's why I love DC so much. I appreciate your honest opinions on the show, and even if you're not enjoying it, know that I'm enjoying hearing your discussion. Question, who's everyone's favorite legacy character, Batman or otherwise? Mine is Nightwing, but I've also enjoyed Calder taking over as Aquaman in Young Justice. Keep up the great show." Thank you, Dustin. Great to hear from you, and that is an interesting question. Favorite legacy character. So I guess it's like favorite someone who has taken over the mantle? Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Is that what he means? What he means by legacy
I think so.
character?
Yeah. Well, using Nightwing as an example, I guess it kind of has to be, yeah.
So do you have a favorite, Brendan?
I mean, I guess Nightwing as Batman, like Dick as Batman. I guess. I'm really not too sure. To be honest, I have never read a hell of a lot of stories like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just gonna cheat and say, yeah, Dick Grayson is Batman.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough question, so that's why I don't have a great answer. I love both of the examples that you give with Nightwing and Calder. I think I agree with both of those. Yeah, I can't really think of anyone else now that I think about it. I guess I like Jaime Reyes as the new Blue Beetle.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like I would say that. I like him a lot. So yeah, there you go. Next message here is from Whistle Red. It says, "Hey, Holy BatCast family, how different would the characters of Harvey Dent and Two-Face have been in Batman the Animated Series if Al Pacino was the voice? He was originally supposed to be the voice before Richard Mole." Thank you, Whistle. I had never heard that. Have you heard that, Brandon?
No, I haven't.
But to answer your question, I think it would have been really cool. I think if anybody could do like the crazy, scary Two-Face version, I think Al Pacino would be great at it. And that would have been a heck of a get to have Al Pacino voicing Batman the Animated Series.
Especially then. Like, he would have been playing Two-Face.
Ah, yes. Next message is from Manny Cortez. It says, "I'm late to the game, but I'm loving your podcast. My question is, which graphic novel picks up the Bruce Wayne storyline after Nightfall? I'm not a big fan of Jean Paul Valley, but I want to follow Bruce through his comeback. Sorry about calling out Tim Burton on Facebook, but I dig your passion for Batman. Oh, okay. This was in the Real Fans group. He said he wasn't a huge Tim Burton fan. I'm like, well, that's okay. Like,
Okay.
some people are, some people aren't. I am. So which graphic novel picks up after Nightfall? I think that you still can only follow Bruce's story of his recoup is Night Quest and then Night's End. I think it is all linear.
I think so too. I'm not good at that sort of stuff.
Yeah, like I think that's like because Night's End is when he takes the mantle back. So I think that to recoup to recuperate and to follow that story, you still have to deal with Jean Paul Valley.
Yeah.
Next message is from Ulysses George. It says, "Hey guys, hope you're doing fantastic. School starting soon, vacation's almost over, and it's going to be sad. Anyway, what do you guys want What do you think you guys want the next DC animated movie? Oh, what do you want it to be? I'm hoping for a 2-part Kingdom Come. Hoping for a new animation style instead of the current ones like Hush, War, Throne of Atlantis. The type of animation I'm looking for was for the Arkham Origins cinematic trailer. Finally, after reading Batman The Long Halloween, I read Batman Dark Victory. Or wait, should I read Batman Dark Victory? Since I've read The Long Halloween.
Yes.
Finally, yeah, I agree. You should. Keep on going. Finally, one of your listeners from last week questioned was about Justice League Mortal. There's a video on YouTube of the same person who read the entire script. These are the links if you want to give it a listen. It's 2 hours and 41 minutes. So he's put some links in here for it as well. Anyway, thank you, Ulysses. Yes, you should keep on going with Dark Victory. And then what was the other question? What do you want for the next DC animated movie? I love your idea of doing Kingdom Come in a new style. I'm all for that. What else? Any other thoughts, Brendan?
In terms of story, I don't dislike what they're doing, to be honest. Like, the stories are cool. Like, you know, doing movies that are based on or loosely based on existing comic stories is fine. Having some original stories is cool as well. I wouldn't mind if they did go back to sort of just individual stories. Like, I don't love the continuity thing, and to be perfectly honest, I don't think people, apart from people like us, even realize they're in continuity. Like,
I know, yeah. But I don't think they gain enough with the incontinuity to keep bothering with it. I'm really over the aesthetic though, and I have been for quite a while. I'm genuinely surprised that they're sticking with the New 52 look, given that we're now 3 years into Rebirth and these characters don't look anything like they do in these movies anymore in the comics. Mm-hmm.
In terms of an aesthetic, and this is going back to, a few years ago now with my first appearance on Holy BatCast, I still really, really like the look of Under the Red Hood. Like, I loved the character designs and the just the animation in general in that movie. So if they were to sort of adopt more of that style, I'd be on board. Like, yeah, it's time for change, well and truly, in terms of the aesthetic.
No, I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like I answered this recently, but A Lonely Place of Dying would be great for animation. And along those lines, then do the Robin solo series as an animated movie with Tim Drake, because Tim Drake has been excluded from these movies for far too long. And how do you make it up to Tim and to his fans? Give him his own animated movie. Yeah. So whether that be adapting the first limited series or the second limited series, which second limited series I think would be a huge win, which was Robin Joker's Wild, where Batman is gone and Tim Drake has to take on the Joker by himself. Like, that would make for a great animated movie that I think people would really be into. Because even if you say Robin's not a big enough draw on his own, guess what? Robin versus the Joker, that's something people want to see. And then I feel like they with Justice League War and Throne of Atlantis, they had started setting up the Legion of Doom and it got sidetracked. So now do Justice League versus Legion of Doom. Yeah. So, yeah, do those. All right, next message is from Jesse Willis. It says, "Hey, Holy BatCast family. Was Batman 89 a big influence on the Dick Tracy movie with Warren Beatty in 1990? With the trailer, music, score, style, merchandise, big stars like Warren Beatty, Madonna, Al Pacino, Dustin Hoffman, James Caan, and Dick Van Dyke, and the soundtrack by Madonna. Also, would you share your memories of what you remember of Dick Tracy in 1990 with all of the hype and build up to the movie?" Thanks, Jesse. Brendan, what do you think? Dick Tracy.
It's always been a head scratcher for me because I think the marketing and everything definitely Batman was a huge influence on that. In terms of the star power and stuff in the movie, I don't think so, because they would have been filming that before and when Batman hit. Like, they would have had to have been, because it came out in 1990 and Batman came out in 89. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, yes, but post-production of movies at that time was much shorter because there were no CG effects that had to be rendered.
Okay.
So post-production was much shorter process back then.
Right. See, I thought it might have been longer because they didn't have the technology that they have now, but the technology, yes, is only made it longer.
Most of the big effects were done in camera.
Yep. No, I get it.
And so it was more about editing them.
I mean, didn't Danny Elfman do the score?
He did.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I've said this to friends and stuff before. As much as I love comic book movies, I still think to this day, Dick Tracy, if you say, you've made a living comic book, I think there's only one movie that's ever truly done that, and it's Dick Tracy. I really, really like the aesthetic in that movie. I'll be perfectly honest, I didn't see it till 10 years after it came out. I don't know. I remember it coming out in the movies. I remember Dick Tracy being a big thing again. I remember watching, they put the old black and white serials on TV here of an afternoon, 3:30, 4 o'clock. They'd show, one of the 10-minute serials a day. I used to watch those. I had a book and tape of it, but for whatever reason, I just never saw it. It was just one of those movies that I just didn't see. And one day I was in a video store and I'm like, I have never seen Dick Tracy, and I grabbed it and I loved it, and I'll still pull it off the shelf and watch it every other year. It's a really cool movie. I dig the hell out of it.
Cool. Do I think that Batman influenced it? 100%. I think that Disney saw Batman and went, we want one. Who can we get? What can we do? Because it's almost shameless how they tried to follow the Batman formula and make their own. To the extent where Elfman's score even sounds very similar to his Batman score. But yeah, I do. I truly believe that Disney was like, we want our own Batman. And they made Dick Tracy, and it did well, but it didn't do Batman money, and so that was where it ended. I'm with Brendan. I didn't see it until after the fact. You would have thought that I would have been excited about it, but I wasn't. And the reason why is because, A, I didn't really know Dick Tracy as a character. Even then, it was a pretty old character. And even at 10 or 11 years old, I could tell they were trying to copy Batman, and I took that personally, and I didn't like it. And so as an 11-year-old, I was like, no, I don't care about that, because they are trying to be Batman, and you can't be Batman. Batman's Batman. So I didn't see it until after the fact. There's a lot that I like about it, and then there's some things I don't like about it. But as Brendan said, the aesthetic of it is really awesome and really unique and really cool. But even that, you can look at it and go, okay, I can see Batman in there. And I really liked all of the villains and how cool and weird they were. And honestly, what I remember most is I remember all those villains were part of a McDonald's game. And so you had a peel off sticker from your Coke, and each one would be a villain, and you had to collect all the villains to win money.
Kind of like the Monopoly thing. Yes,
exactly. It's what became the Monopoly game, but it was the Dick Tracy game, and each piece was a villain. And I remember seeing the commercials for that McDonald's thing and going, oh, the villains all look really cool. And then I went and saw the movie and realized almost all of those villains are in the movie for exactly 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And I remember being super sad about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I rewatched it, and here's my biggest thing about the Dick Tracy movie. there's not a single action scene in that entire movie.
Huh.
It's pretty boring.
I need to go back and rewatch it now.
The closest thing you get is a montage in the middle where like Dick Tracy's kind of shooting the gun towards the camera, but there's not a fight, there's not a chase, there's nothing.
Huh. Actually, yeah, now that you mention it, yeah. Wasn't Pacino nominated for Academy Award for that?
I think that sounds familiar.
Like I said,
So,
I still
like-
like it. Like I can every other year I'll watch it, and I always have a blast watching it. But yeah,
I don't know it super well because I think I've only watched it twice in my life. I watched it on video like a year or two after it came out, and then I went and saw it on the big screen a few years ago because I was like, I've never seen it on the big screen. That'll be fun. And that was when it dawned on me that I was like, I'm bored. Why am I bored? And I was like, oh, maybe because there's been zero action and it's an hour and a half into the damn movie. It's a very talky comic book movie, which is why I think it probably didn't do as well, is because kids got bored.
yeah.
So anyway, I wish I loved it the way it sounds like you loved it, Jesse, but I appreciate it for what it is. I do own it because I like the way it looks, but have I watched it since I bought it? No, I have not. This message is from Stephen Marshall. He says, hey guys, I am sure you've had many questions on this topic, but where do you stand on the Snyder Cut? Do you want to see it? Are you bothered if we don't get to see it? Do you think we ever will see it? Also, did you see JLA Adventures Trapped in Time? If so, did you like it? I thought it was a wonderful modern Super Friends. I wish they would make another one, but given the length of time it's been since the first, I don't think that's likely. Thanks as always. Kind regards, Steven. Thank you, Steven. First thing, Snyder Cut. Brendan, I think we're on the same page of this, but go ahead, Brendan.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it before. Look, would I like to see it? Of course I would. Do I think we'll ever see it? I don't know. Like, maybe? I mean, there's a big enough outcry there that people want to see it. Like, people are going to pay for it. Like, there's money to be made there, but, if the latest story is to be believed that it would cost $40 million or something that I read the other day to get it to a level where you could release it, I mean, it seems pretty clear at this point that Warner Brothers are looking forward instead of looking backwards. So if we were to get it, I don't think it would be anytime soon. I think we'd be talking minimum 10 years down the road. I just don't like the way that fans fight about it so much. Like, I'm someone, look, I know I'm in a minority here, but I like the Justice League movie. Is it perfect? Not in a long shot. But I can still enjoy what we got. And I judge that movie on the movie that it is, not on the movie that it could have been or the movie we should have gotten. And like I've said from the first time we reviewed it on this podcast, to me it just feels like a feature length of a Justice League cartoon. And I have no problem with that. That's the decisions that were made, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, of course I want to see the full version of what it was intended to be. And if it's a 3-hour movie, of course I want to see 3 hours of the Justice League. I'm a DC fan, but I don't want to see all the bullshit that goes along with the debates and arguments and Twitter spats and everything. I'm just so over it at this point. But yeah, that's my feelings on it.
All right. Do I want to see it? Absolutely. I wish it's the movie that I wish Zach would have been allowed to make the movie he was hired to make. So I would have loved for his version to have been the version that we saw in theaters. And I would love to see it now. If they released it, I would be the first one to buy it and watch it, and we would review it on this show. Do I think we'll see it? Maybe someday. But I do. Again, if you believe the latest report that it would cost $40 million, do I see Warner Brothers putting? They have to believe that they would make more than $40 million to put in $40 million. And do I think they're going to do that? No, I don't. So if we get to see a version, my guess is it will be an incomplete version, and we'll just kind of be able to go, oh, this is what it kind of would have been. But no, I would love to see the Snyder Cut. I'm all for it. I love Zack Snyder's films. I'm a fan of his work. I'd love to see the movie. I just choose not to spend my time and energy fighting about it. And I choose not to spend my time and energy only caring about that at the expense of literally everything else. I'd rather look forward and enjoy the things that we are getting and the things that we have. And if this ever comes to be, great, I'll support it and I'll give you $20. But in the meantime, I'd rather focus on things that are happening.
Yeah. Like, I don't think they're going to spend $40 million on a movie at the moment where your Batman he's gone. Potentially your Superman is not coming back. There's a good chance your Flash won't be coming back. They're not going to spend $40 million to push a movie like that really has no bearing on anything moving forward now.
Yeah. And then Trapped in Time. I saw it. I liked it. I own it. And I was hoping we'd get more. And it's sad that didn't happen. It's just that it is a weird little blip that, like, I feel like no one really even noticed came out. I think it was Target exclusive, which might have been part of the problem. So it didn't go wide. And so maybe most people just didn't even know it was out there. But yeah, I liked it. Yeah. Brendan, did you see that one?
We got it over here. Like, it was a small release. It wasn't like an exclusive anywhere, because I remember we got it in at the store I worked at the time, but it was maybe a few months after the fact that you guys got it at Target over there. I don't know. I put it in the same, like, I think it kind of technically is in the same canon as the Batman Unlimited movies. Like, was it Batman Unlimited? Yeah. Like, it's just, they were made for younger kids. They didn't have the wide release that, the other DC animated movies get. If you knew they were coming...
I feel like it wasn't promoted at all. Like, I feel like it was literally just dumped into Target without a single bit of promotion.
Probably, but
I at least remember seeing a trailer for Batman Unlimited. I didn't see a single trailer for the JLA Trapped in Time.
That's true, but yeah, it's just it is one of those weird ones. But it's fine. Like, I think I might have only watched it ever once, and I think it's on my shelf. I know the two actually, I don't even know if the two Batman Unlimited ones are, but I've definitely seen them all. But
there's 3 Batman Unlimited ones.
Is there?
Yeah, there's 3.
I think I've only seen 2.
There's the animal one, which was the first one. Then there was the Monster Mayhem, and then there was Mechs versus Monsters.
Oh, I think maybe I had Mechs and Monster Mayhem wrapped into the one movie. Oh, I'm sure I would have seen them then. But yeah, again, they're not made for me, so they're not ones that I would ever really revisit. So I've watched them once, and I think I'm fine with that. Like, unless we were going to do them for this show, I probably wouldn't have a reason to watch them until I have kids one day, maybe. Yeah. We did Monster Mayhem as a Halloween episode. Yeah.
I know we definitely didn't do Mechs versus Monsters. We might have done the Animal Instincts one.
Actually, I tell you, I have rewatched the Monster one because I watched it for Scarathon last year.
Okay, I'll allow it. All right, next message is from Hugh Morris. It says, hey, Andy, Brendan, maybe the Who's Your Daddy himself, Jamie. I hope all's going well. All the fan casting out there got me thinking I'd love to see Jason Mantzoukas as the Scarecrow, Paul Scheer as the Penguin, and June Diane Raphael as Batwoman. It would be amazing. By the way, if you haven't, you should listen to How Did This Get Made, episode 42, Batman and Robin. I highly recommend it, but it's not safe for work. Loving the podcast. Keep up the great work. Thanks, Hugh. And I love How Did This Get Made. I listen to every episode, so I'm sure I listened to the Batman and Robin one. I don't remember what they said, but I'm sure I listened to
Kevin Smith was on it from memory. Oh, no.
Oh, really?
No, sorry. He was on Wild Wild West. I tell a lie. Batman came up in that episode. I can't remember who the guest was on that one, but I remember listening to it, and they were making a point of talking about Gossip Gertie. And they're like, who is this woman? And is she someone's friend or whatever? And like, how did she get this role? And this is ridiculous. And I'm just like, you guys have done no research.
Yeah. They generally don't.
Yeah.
But no, I love listening to them. I think they're a lot of fun. And so, yeah, I appreciate the recommendation. And Paul is a huge comic book fan. Mm-hmm. Paul Scheer. He's a huge comic book fan, and he's writing one right now for Marvel. So anyway, next message is from Reverend Frazier. It says, hey, Holy BatCast family, I've got 2 questions. Number 1, what's your favorite Batman moment in The Dark Knight Rises? And number 2, which Terminator and Rambo movie is your favorite? Did you ask us about Terminator and... Oh, wait. Did you ask us about Rambo and Rocky last time? Or was that someone else? Someone, I don't know. Anyway, it's just weird. We keep getting asked about this. All right, Brendan, favorite Batman moment in The Dark Knight Rises and favorite Terminator or Rambo movie?
Favorite Batman moment in Rises?
There's only like 3 to choose from.
It's tricky because even the Bane fight at the end, which is cool, it's in broad daylight. So even to me, that's kind of like, this is going to be a random one. But I really liked, I think it was the scene where he and Catwoman are fighting on the rooftop. Yeah, it is, because it's where Batman says something about they know but they don't care. And he jumps down off the higher roof to the roof that Catwoman's on. And he does the comic thing where, like, very much the Alex Ross thing where he jumps, puts his cape out and then tucks his legs up.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing that in the cinema and just going, oh my God, that's amazing. But yeah, Rises is one that I was in love with the time that it came out, and the more and more time that's passed, I'm just kind of like, yeah, it's a bit of a slog to get through for me. I know that could be unpopular with some people, but of the Nolan films, it's the one I revisit the least, because Batman's hardly in it.
Well, that's what I was joking about.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna get letters. For me, it's it's when he finally reemerges as Batman. Mm-hmm. After 8 years of not being Batman, like when he reemerges and like the lights go out in that tunnel and he shows up on the Batpod, and then the chase that ensues. That's probably it. Like that is just great, awesome Batman stuff.
And you get the Dark Knight Returns moment, like literally word for word from the comic.
Yeah. Yep. So it's probably that. I mean, that whole first Batman sequence in that movie is really awesome. So
it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then Terminator and Rambo.
Terminator, I've seen the first 2, so I will say Terminator 2. And I'm going to tell you a secret, Andy. Come closer. Don't tell the listeners. Just
I think I know where this is going.
I've never seen a Rambo movie.
I'm not surprised.
It's just I don't care. It's just not my thing.
It's not your thing. It's okay. Terminator. It's T2, which is probably the easy answer. But I mean, I love that movie. I was so into it that summer. Like, yeah, it's T2. Rambo. It's First Blood. Because First Blood is a very different movie than what the sequels became. And First Blood's a really good movie. So, Brandon, I would recommend, like, even if you're not a Rambo guy, First Blood might surprise you. It's awesome.
It's kind of like Vietnam War-y, isn't it?
Well, First Blood is, I mean, he's a Vietnam vet, so there's PTSD there, which actually goes very in line with what we were talking about with Pennyworth. Uh-huh. But...
There's a comparison you never thought you'd make.
Right? Rambo, Pennyworth, same difference. But yeah, First Blood takes place in the States, in the present. Well, it was in the present in the 80s. But his past is Vietnam. And then I think he goes back to Vietnam in 2. I don't think I've ever seen 3, but then I saw the one, like the new one, and I don't remember anything about it. So yeah. First Blood, almost by default. But no, First Blood's just a really good movie, regardless of what Rambo became.
I might have to check it out.
Yeah. Next message is from Weston Craig. It says, hey, Andy, Jamie, and Brendan. I know I write in a lot, but I've got another question. Every so often, I see a clickbait ad trying to convince me that DC Comics is going to go out of business. The articles will say things like AT&T and Time Warner don't want the DC IP because it's low income, or comic book sales are the lowest they've ever been. My question is, do you guys ever get articles like this on social media? What do you do when you read something negative like that? Thanks, guys. Keep up the great work. Thanks, Weston. Honestly, I've never seen anything about DC getting shut down. Brendan, have you ever seen?
No, I haven't. No.
Yeah, I have not seen anything like that. I'm not entirely shocked that someone would use that as clickbait, but come on, like DC's been around over 80 years. The IP is some of the most recognizable fictional characters of all time. It's always going to be a part of pop culture. It's always going to be a part of our world. The comics will survive. They've survived this long. So what do I do when I see articles like that? I would just ignore them and go on with my life.
Yep, ditto.
Next message is from Carrie Vandenberg. It says, "Hey, Andy, Jamie, and Brendan, I hope you're doing well. I've been meaning to write in for a while. I just keep falling behind. Congrats on 200 episodes. The 200th episode was a lot of fun. And congrats to Andy on his successful move to China. You were missed at Comic-Con this year." Thanks, Carrie. I missed it too. I hope you're enjoying China. Here's some comments and questions. Number 1, any plans to review the animated movie Hush? Yes, of course. Like I said earlier, we would do it very soon. And he says, "I really enjoyed the movie. I'd love to hear your guys' take. It might be my favorite animated DC movie." Interesting. So yeah, we will talk about that probably in the next episode. It says, "Andy, your friend Scotty is quite the character with his knowledge of classic cartoons from the 70s and 80s. Those episodes are fun to listen to." Yes. Scotty stopped paying attention to pop culture in 1990, and so he knows a lot about the 70s and 80s. That's his specialty. And even on Why Not Futurama, with him and I talking, he manages to weave in knowledge about 80s cartoons and 80s movies. So you can get more of it there. And he said, "I loved Swamp Thing. I really hope it gets a second season. I'm excited for Titan Season 2, but I've got to confess that I didn't like Doom Patrol. I can't deny it's a good show, but it just turned out to be too weird for me. I made it through the whole season, but once the giant cockroach swapped spit with the giant rat, I was like, okay, I'm out. So I won't be into Season 2. For Titans, how far into the season do you think it will be until we see Nightwing? That's it for me. Sorry it's a little long. You guys are great. I wish you the best. Carrie Vanderberg." Thanks, Carrie, for the message. So what do you think, Brendan? Titans, when do we get to see Nightwing?
I mean, look, the fan in me is hoping sooner rather than later, but I mean, I honestly don't know. Halfway through the season, maybe. I'm not sure. Not sure.
Yeah, I mean, if we truly believe that the Robin costume is gone, I don't think they will leave him out of costume for the entire season. So I'm with you. I think a proper build-up of a few episodes, hopefully by episode 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Next message is from Pastor Jasmine. It says, "Greetings, Bat Family. I saw an awesome fan-made Batman trailer of Batman taking place in the 1940s with Gregory Peck as Batman, Roddy McDowall as Robin, and Spencer Tracy as Alfred, Joseph Cotton as Commissioner Gordon, Ava Gardner as Catwoman, Edward G. Robinson as the Penguin, Jimmy Stewart as the Riddler, and John Wayne as the Joker. What if this was a Batman movie in the 40s with this cast?" Interesting. Well, thanks, Pastor. I have not seen this one on YouTube. Brandon, have you?
Some of it rings a bell. I honestly can't remember. I've seen something like it, but then I might be thinking of the you know how someone did the Batman 89 trailer in like a 1930s, 1940s style? I might be thinking of that. I can't remember. But
Right.
I mean, good Lord, with that cast, that'd be like up there with Gone with the Wind. Like it's one of the best movies. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. John Wayne is the Joker. No, no. I just can't see that at all.
You've got me with Jimmy Stewart as the Riddler, though.
Yeah, especially young Jimmy Stewart.
Oh,
I could do that. Gregory Peck as Batman, I like.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph Cotton as Commissioner Gordon. If it's who I'm picturing, I feel like he would have been too young for Commissioner Gordon at that point, but maybe I'm thinking of the wrong person. But yeah, I mean, it would certainly be fascinating. I've never seen young Roddy McDowall, so I don't know how he would do as Robin, but like, because I only have ever seen
he was a hell of a
seen him as a man. Yeah, I love him, but like, yeah, I've never seen teenage Roddy McDowall, so I can't really speak to that. But no, it would be fascinating. I'd watch it. Yeah, good. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
All right. Next message is from Chris Elliott. It says, "Hey guys, I love listening to the podcast on Spotify and hearing your take on all things Batman. For me, the whole build-up and breakdown of the Batman-Catwoman marriage in the comics was a big disappointment. I think it would have been great to see how being married would have influenced Bruce's life as Batman. I think Selina is a great match for him, and it's never really been done before. What do you guys think of the story and the idea of Bruce and Selina being married? Thanks, Chris. Brendan, what do you think about that?
Well, I stopped reading the current comics about 2 years ago, so I haven't read any of it, but I know what happened in terms of... Is it a spoiler if I say that she left him at the altar? Like,
Nah, he kind of alluded to it. It's fine.
yeah, which did make me think, actually, on a random Facebook ad like 2 days ago, a shirt popped up that is the Runaway Bride movie poster, but it's Batman and Catwoman, and she's like sitting there putting on the sneakers, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, it would be interesting to see, them as a married, that dynamic. It would be cool to see as a comic. I'd be more interested in that than the I thought a bit of a dick move of teasing it for like so long and making it this big event, and then for what to happen. I just that did nothing for me, and it honestly doesn't give me any real reason to want to read those stories. But yeah, I mean, I'd be keen to see what could happen with that dynamic in the future.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about it. Because I felt like, I agree with you, it was kind of a dick move to like call it the wedding and build up to it and then have it not happen. But at the same time, I think that's true to Catwoman. I don't,
Yeah.
I almost have a harder time believing that either of them would choose to actually get married. Because it doesn't really fit in with either of their lives.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, maybe they can try. Like if they had actually gotten married, like, sure, it hasn't been done before. Let's explore it. I think it's not going to last, but yeah, why the hell not? It's something that could happen. So I guess I could see it either way. Maybe I just don't feel strongly either way. Next message is from Frankie Cruz. It says, this isn't DC related, but if you guys are looking for a new show on Hulu, I would suggest Vikings. It's actually for the History Channel, but all the seasons are on Hulu. If you loved Game of Thrones, then you're definitely going to love this. All right, thanks, Frankie. I will keep that in mind if I'm looking for a new show. Have you watched Vikings? I've heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of it. It's not my cup of tea, but yeah, it used to sell well at work, so.
Okay. Next message is from our old pal Stuart from Guernsey. It says, hey guys, if Jamie's on the show this week, I wanted to ask what he thinks of Deceased. I wasn't expecting much when I first read it. I almost even put it off, but there was a slow morning. I decided to read the first issue. Now it's one of the books that I look forward to each month, along with Deathstroke. Andy, I highly recommend that you read it if you're not. Also, a little rant. My daughter keeps calling Batman Superman. I keep telling her that he's Batman, and she tells me, no, it's Superman. What does one Batman have to do to persuade her? Hope you guys are doing well. Stuart, thank you for the message. So I'm not reading, Deceased. Brandon?
Well, I'm not reading current comics. Well, actually, aside from Shazam, I've been reading that, but otherwise I haven't been. I did see before Jamie posted something on the Real Fans for Real Comics group. I'm paraphrasing here, but it was something along the lines of Deceased is like seriously in the running for Series of the Year or something like that. So he's clearly really enjoying it.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I have not read it. Obviously, I've just, been busy. But no, that's good to hear the recommendation. I appreciate it. And then what do you do to get your daughter to start calling Batman by his real name? Bribe her, candy, ice cream.
Yeah.
And then if she says Superman, make her eat a carrot. If she says Batman, give her an ice cream.
Yeah.
And see how that goes.
Yeah.
Or take her back to the hospital. Return.
Yeah.
I hope you kept the receipt.
I was going to say, did you keep the receipt?
All right, one last message here from Kyle Refner. It says, hey guys, do you remember, I think it was last year, a CW Arrowverse concept artist drew up a supposed costume design for Batman Beyond. Do you think that with Kevin Conroy getting a chance to play older Bruce in the crossover, this will be CW's way of working around the Batman problem, and we will finally see Batman and Bruce Wayne interact with our CW characters? I only ask because I am 100% in agreement with Andy that old Bruce is the best part of Batman Beyond. This kind of feels like the perfect way for DC to test the waters with Batman Beyond outside of cartoon and comics. As always, I'm very much looking forward to what you have to say. Take care, Kyle. Thank you, Kyle. What do you think, Brendan? Do you think that they're testing the waters with old Bruce?
God, I hope not. No. Oh, look, I don't know. I mean, obviously he's going to be an older Bruce Wayne. In what, I don't know if that's going to be, if they're going to try and weave it into Batman Beyond. I don't know. I'm just happy to see Kevin Conroy playing live action Bruce Wayne. That's all I can really say.
Yeah, I mean, I think that to answer one of the questions, yes, this is a way they're getting around it, is being able to do it this way. But I think the bigger question is, honestly, like if they wanted to do a Batman Beyond show with Kevin Conroy as old Bruce and then someone new as Terry McGinnis, I'd be all about that. I think that could be cool as hell, especially like if they're not allowed to do quote unquote Batman. Batman Beyond would be a nice way to get around that rule, I think, especially if there's no plans for him in any other media. I don't know. I like that idea.
Look, I don't like the cartoon. It's no secret, but I'd watch it. Like, I'd certainly watch it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, so we shall see. Anyway, there you go. That's it for the Wayne Manor mailbox. Whew, we did it. So if you've got a message or question that you would like to send to us, you can send that to Holy BatCast at rf4rm.com. But that is where we're wrapping up this Holy BatCast. A lot of stuff to cover, and we made it. So thank you, as always, for joining us. And Brendan, thank you for giving up your evening to chat with me. But, I mean, this was Pennyworth. This was your show anyway.
No, it's fine. Like, we had to cover it at some point, so I'm just glad that I was able to be involved.
I hope Jamie's enjoying his weekend off.
Yeah, I just hope he listens to the episode and then decides to watch it.
We'll see. We'll see what he says.
Yeah.
Anyway, tell everyone at home where they can follow you.
You can follow me on Twitter at Lowy007, LOWY007. You can follow my podcast at facebook.com/The Nightlight, on Twitter at NightlightPod, on Instagram, The Nightlight 2.0, or at thenightlight.podbean.com.
There you go. I already told you where to follow me at the beginning, but I will put in one last plug for Why Not Futurama, the new show all about Futurama. So please search for Why Not Futurama wherever you get your podcasts, and hopefully you will find it, and hopefully you will enjoy it. But thank you for downloading this show, Holy BatCast. We appreciate that. Please do subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. Please rate and review us on iTunes. And as Michael Keaton's Batman says, I want you to tell all your friends about me. Visit holybatcast.com. Like and follow Holy BatCast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. But that'll do it for this episode. On behalf of Brendan, I've been Andy. This has been Holy BatCast. We will see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Holy BatCast is brought to you by real fans for real movies. Remember, the thoughts and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone, and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.
Thursday night's always a bit naughty. We can meet Saturday. It's going to be a nice day.
It's rather forward of you.
No, I saw the weather forecast.
I didn't get your name.
Pennyworth.
Thomas Wayne.